this afternoon's running of the Indianapolis 500, the 108th edition of this great spectacle at the world, well, not the World Center of Racing, that's Daytona. What am I doing? I'm a NASCAR fan. Of course, that's not it. But we're at the World Spectacle of Racing, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will be given in less than 10 minutes from now to fire engines for this race. We will get all 500 miles in. We still have about 4 hours of daylight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and this race has been ran in 3 hours or less on several occasions over the last few seasons with how fast these cars are nowadays. So, with that being said, this start to the entire race has been delayed. But again, we are not that far away from the green flag. On the front row today, it is a front row lockout for the Indy 500 for Penske Racing. Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, and Joseph Newgarden will be on the pole. McLaughlin setting a track record 234.22 miles per hour for his 4-lap average. Again, that is the Rossi, Kyle Larson, Santino Ferrucci. Larson will still be running the Coca-Cola 600 later on this evening. Obviously, he will not be able to start the race. At least the plan is to get him to Charlotte as soon as this race comes to an end. So that will be a developing story, but he is planning on running all 500 miles, or at least attempting to run all 500 miles for this race first. In row number 3, it's going to be Rinus VeeKay, Pato O'Ward, and Felix Rosenqvist. Row number 4, Takuma Sato, a two-time Indy 500 winner. Kyle Kirkwood in the middle, and Ryan Hunter-Reay, another former Indy 500 winner in that row. In row number 5, it'll be Colton Herta, Alex Palou, and Callum Ilott. A lot of young products in that row, all looking for their first Indianapolis 500 win. In row number 6, it'll be Marcus Armstrong, Ed Carpenter, the veteran, and Kippen Simpson. Row number 7, Marco Andretti, Helio Castroneves, former 4-time winner of the 500 and a 1-time winner of the Indy 500, Scott Dixon. In row number 8, it'll be Augustine Capino, Stingray Robb, and Christian Rasmussen. Tom Bloomquist, Roman Grosjean, and Linus Lundqvist will be the row 9 starters. Row number 10 is going to be Christian Lundgaard, Connor Daly, and Petro Fittipaldi. Row number 11, rounding out the 33-car field here today, will be Catherine Legg, Marcus Ericsson, and Graham Rahal. So that will be the full 33-car field for this year's edition of the Indianapolis 500. Again, the 108th edition of this race. We do have the live timing and scoring on screen, as you can see. Different setup, of course, on NTTIndyCar.com compared to what you would usually see with the live commentary streams on NASCAR.com. I like the colorful product that they have here, to say the least, but this will update at the end of every lap when the race leader gets to the start-finish line, I would imagine, similar to the time and scoring loops on the raw feed on NASCAR.com during our usual live commentary stream. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in here today. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more NASCAR content on the channel, and back again here this season as well. And honestly, any year I'm not going to either the Indy 500, the Coke 600, probably going to do this stream going forward just as we are. Now, the Coca-Cola 600 is still scheduled to start at 6:22, drop a green flag time. This race will obviously not get done before then. With that being said, as soon as this stream comes to an end after the checkered flag flies today and we get an interview with the race winner, the stream will end abruptly, so we aren't going to have a very long post-race with this Indy 500 compared to usual. We have a Coke 600 that will already be underway at that time. We'll go live for the Coke 600, whatever lap it is that we will be live. So I'm guesstimating about 8 p.m. Eastern. I would imagine it'll be live for the Coke 600, so may miss the first third of the race or so. But sorry for anybody who was looking forward to the live commentary of the Coke 600 in its entirety. But the Indy 500, the more prestigious race of the weekend, I figure that this is the one that needs to go from start to finish on the channel. And even though this is a NASCAR-oriented channel, the Coke 600, I think, does play second fiddle today. And I will have that commentary for you as soon as this race comes to an end. So we went through the starting lineup of this one already, just waiting for the command to fire engines. So here is the NBC booth for today's race. Back home again in Indiana, of course, before that. Got chills.
Any better than that. Nielsen, thank you very much to get this crowd of more than 300,000 people fired up to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. We've to work a little longer for it this year, but the wait is most going to be worth it. And to get us there, let's hear those famous words. For the most famous words in motorsports, let's welcome the chairman of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Roger Penske. Great day today, and thank you for staying here for this delay. But race fans all over the world, you're going to see the most iconic race, the finest race in racing here today, the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. But more important, this day is for the men and the women and the first responders who keep our country safe and secure. Let's give them a big hand. Now on to the greatest race. Drivers, start your engines. There he is, the captain, Roger Penske. And when the captain says it's time to go, you go. And we will when we come back. This is Indy. Why do I love the U.S.?
Alrighty, so let's get ready to go. Is the track wet? No, it is not. It is completely dry, and we are getting set. Any audio issues, by the way, throughout the course of the stream. I had to turn the bit rate down to keep the stream up and running on a consistent basis. We were having or I was having issues, I guess, yesterday during qualifying for the Coke 600 stream, where for some reason the bit rate was dropping quite a bit. So I had to kind of adjust that before the start of the stream here today. So just let me know if that has messed the audio up a little bit, and I can at least mess with that a little more going forward. But again, appreciate everybody tuning in, and let me know if there's any audio issues going forward. 30 likes on the stream already. Our goal is going to be to get to 150 for today's live commentary stream of the Indianapolis 500. We went through the starting lineup of this one. The engines are fired, and we are just minutes away from the drop of the green flag. 4 pace laps before the drop of the green flag for today's race. That is Indy 500 tradition, of course. And we are getting ready for racing here. A doubleheader of live commentary coverage on this Memorial Day weekend. Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, and all Penske front row. Clearly the fastest cars, not only in qualifying last weekend, but all throughout the month of May and the time trial / practice sessions ran in the running of the Indy 500 here this season. They are going to be the ones that are going to be tough to beat. My personal pick to win the Indy 500 is last year's winner, Joseph Newgarden. If he goes to victory lane today, he will be the first driver to win back-to-back Indy 500 since Helio Castroneves won his first 2 Indy 500s back in 2001 and 2002. So here we are.
reaction in the driver introductions, but what an afternoon we have for you here. This is going to be spectacular. The wait has been worth it. It certainly has. It doesn't look like a soul has left this place. They are back in force and ready to see 11 rows of 3 absolutely send it. And a lot of us will be watching the rookie, Kyle Larson. Let's see if we can get him on the radio. Hey, Kyle, it's Townsend Bell with NBC. You copy? Yeah, I got it. Hey there, a year ago you came here, Kyle, to watch, study, and ultimately dream. What does the dream look like now from where you're sitting? Wish you the best of luck. You sure have been impressive. Have a great one. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And terrific for Kyle to note that it's nice to look at the crowd and just see how many people are here to watch him and 32 others race. Let's take you to the Honda track preview. Hinge, take us for a little ride. Tell us the important facts and figures.
Oh, guys, this is one of the greatest racetracks on the earth. 2.5 miles around. You see the 4 distinct corners, but they all drive a little bit differently. 9.2 degrees of banking in those corners. The straightaways, 5/8 of a mile long enough to have some great passes. You see the short chutes on the north and south end of the racetrack.
And there you see the stats. 200 laps to do those 500 miles. Pit road speed will be 60 miles an hour. It was a record pole speed at 234.2 miles an hour. Before we get going, let's get an update from Kevin Lee. Kevin, what's happening at the Arrow McLaren camp?
There's a problem for Kalamila. He radioed in after he left the grid and said, I cannot shift. So they brought him in, and they're going to try a different steering wheel to see if that sorts the electronics problem.
Oh, no, this is Kyle Larson's teammate. Pato O'Ward and Alexander Rossi's teammate. There is something about rain delays that can wreak havoc on electronics. Even though these cars have been inside the garages of Gasoline Alley, there's delays. Sometimes battery voltage is an issue. This is not the first time we've seen problems after a long break for the cars.
But just think about how heartbreaking this is, guys. We just talked about how important this race is, how much time and energy and effort goes into starting it. For your car to not even be able to get to the start while being able to shift, this is a heartbreak for Kalamila.
Spotty Snyder.
Last year, Rinus VK's race ended pretty much here on pit road. He told me after the incident on pit road, he was mad at himself. But what it taught him, Dylan Welch, is patience. He said, that's my word of the day, patience. I think we have a car that can win, but I have to take my time.
Takuma Sato is back with one of the teams he won one of his 2 Indianapolis 500s with. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing asked his strategist for what did he bring back to the team? Rico said the biggest thing he brought back was himself. He knows how to drive a car here as good as anybody, and Dave Burns, he is not afraid.
Venus Lundqvist, the 25-year-old from Stockholm, is making his first Indy 500 start. He's been in the series now for almost a year, but he's a rookie here. He starts 27th, and will have a long way to go. We'll see what this rookie can do with a team that has won here before. Marcus Ericsson took the 8 to victory lane 2 years ago.
Now this is where it gets real, guys. Tug on those.
Field is starting to triple up now on the back straightaway. The lights are out on the pace car. We will be going green this time by, and we will kick off the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 and our second consecutive Indy 500 live commentary stream right here on the channel. Leaders heading their way into turns 3 and 4 in the 3 Penske cars on the front row of Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, and Joseph Newgarden will lead the field to the green. All 325,000 have stuck around for this race. In the grandstands, it is a packed crowd, and we are getting ready to see the greatest spectacle in racing. Off the exit of turn number 4, the race is on. A slow start here for Scott McLaughlin as he leads the field to the green, and everybody gets lined up as the 108th Indy 500 is underway. McLaughlin gets to the start-finish line, and it's a side-by-side dead heat into turn 1 before the Will Power 12th car is going to back out of line, let his teammate go into the first turn. Mostly single file, at least through the top 10, as they continue to go side-by-side, and we already have a wreck. One car up in the air, a 3-car crash off of turn 1. One car did catch air. I'm not sure if it made a full rotation or not, but 3 of them involved Marcus Ericsson, a Indy 500 of 2 years ago, Indy 500 winner of 2 years ago, involved in the incident. The 66 car as well involved in there. And looking to see exactly who that may be. Tom Bloomquist. And perhaps Fittipaldi as well involved. 3 cars are definitely involved. There may be more with damage from hitting debris, but definitely looked like a hard impact, and we're already under caution on lap 1, turn 1 of the Indianapolis 500. Wow.
So the Escher Fittipaldi going down the inside, getting passed on his outside by, and just absolutely nowhere to go for the number 28.
The view from PHRT.
Now you're clear. And that's just a little touch job with the McLaren, I believe. And Kalamilot. Yes, that's a big stop backwards.
Here we are with Kalamilot.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh.
Great avoiding, and I think he's going to luck out there with the hip check, shoulder-to-shoulder contact. And guys, the irony is that this is exactly the same mistake that took Marcus Ericsson out on qualifying practice. Tom Blomqvist in the 66 get his left front tire on the rumble strip. It unweighted the car, it sent him backwards, and it takes out Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah,
just Blomqvist up front on the left.
You just
there it is.
Get onto that gray concrete patch. Just a first-time Indy 500 competitor, first corner of the first lap. One of the classic mistakes, rookie error. There's really no other way to put it, Townsend.
Yeah, he got Marcus Ericsson. You see the left front there on that light gray rumble strip, and that thing is simply ruthless. James, you and I have been on that a couple of times. We never wanted to be on it again. It's that wicked in terms of how it frees up the race car.
You see the end result there for Ericsson back on Thursday in practice, and not much better, unfortunately, here in the race. He came in here with such high hopes, guys, even after all the drama they've been through with this team in this car, the qualifying drama in the last chance qualifier. He was really confident in that race car. That's a gut punch to not even have the chance to see what you could have done.
So they'll have to wait to get a flying lap. Let's take an exclusive first look at the Bike Riders' new trailer in theaters nationwide on Friday, June 21st, starring Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, and Tom Hardy.
Under caution after a lap 1 incident, turn 1 at the start of the Indianapolis 500s. It looks like, again, Bloomquist had lost control in turn 1. Got the left side tires down a little bit below that concreted patch on the inside of the racetrack, kind of like a curbing, if you will. And that caused his car to spin. As soon as he snapped around backwards, he had gotten hit from Marcus Ericsson in the 28 car. A little wheel-to-wheel contact, left front on left front. Ericsson's car had caught a little bit of air. Luckily came back down on all 4. He caught air really about at the time where both cars had hit the outside wall in turn 1. So no full rotation there in the flip. Both drivers out of their car okay, but heartbroken by the way that this race has started. Fittipaldi, who was also involved in the incident there, had damage, a little shoulder-to-shoulder contact with another car trying to miss the wreck. And the results of that happening, he had ended up in the outside wall with a little bit of damage, backed it into the wall, in fact, down towards turn 2. So 3 cars involved in the incidents, and all of them off the lead lap following the wreck and ending their chances of winning this Indianapolis 500 here from the start. So with that being said, I don't know exactly what's up with this leaderboard as of right now. I'm sure it will update sometime soon. It's showing Connor Daly's name all over the place. This is on NTTIndyCar.com, so If you're wondering, what the problem is, I can't exactly explain to you why. What I can explain to you is that Scott McLaughlin will lead the opening lap of the race just under caution. So I almost wonder if the first lap having the yellow is maybe the reason for this issue. I wonder if there's a way I can organize this leaderboard at all. I don't know if there's anything I can do here. I'll work on it though.
Coverage is presented by Honda and isn't a direct at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Bright and sunny and sun after a morning and an early afternoon of a lot of intense rainfall. Let's take you back, show you lap one on board with Marcus Ericsson.
It's so hard here from the driver's seat. If you see the case, but there's only so far right you can go without just getting up in the dirty part of the racetrack and ending up in the wall anyway. These cars are only designed to turn left, but you can't just crank it hard to the left to try to get down there. You'd spin on your own anyway. There's really just nothing that Ericsson could have done.
We're here with Graham Rahal. You see the little check between Callum Ilott and Pietro Fittipaldi, and this is a veteran to take the apron in turn two as Ericsson and Bloomquist are nose to nose, and poor Pietro Fittipaldi simply where to go. Frustration early at Indy. Marcus Ericsson knows what it's like to win. Unfortunately, he's got a different feeling today.
A heartbreaking start for 3 drivers in the Indianapolis 500 after a crash in turn 1, lap 1, but the other 30 that started this race will continue on and still awaiting our first full green flag lap as cleanup continues in the turn 1 to short shoot between turns 1 and 2 area of the racetrack. We should get back to racing here shortly after what was already about a 4-hour rain delay for the start of this race. But again, appreciate everybody sticking around through this stream. You can vote for who you think is going to win the race. We usually do this for the NASCAR polls, so you can vote for who you think will win the 108th Indianapolis 500. I'll close this poll at the halfway point at lap 100. Usually it's the end of stage 2, but there's no stages obviously in IndyCar racing. So at the end of lap 100, when we're halfway through the race, I will close the poll. 80 votes have been casted so far. 41% of you going with Kyle Larson. I know there's a lot of NASCAR fans on the channel here, so that's probably a lot of why. A lot of you are maybe picking Kyle Larson, but Larson at 41% of the votes, other at 31% of the votes, 16% of you taking Joseph Newgarden, who was my pick to win. I think the odds-on favorite to win the race coming in to the day was Scott McLaughlin, and he has 12% of the votes, of course, started on the poll. Now, I know the odds were kind of changing a little bit throughout the day from what I saw, but McLaughlin was the favorite, at least last night when I checked at that point. Appreciate everybody that's tuned into this stream, though, so far. Some quick shout-outs to those of you watching. Cole Trickle, Mike H., Silent L. Scribe, VP Stalot, Wade Solinsky, William Walton Jr., Dan Bowers, Jeff Henson, Frank Powers, and many others. Chris Davis, welcome into the stream. Ronnie24 Ever, thanks for tuning in. Jackson Thomas, also welcome to the stream. Mark Witkowski. Jeff, you're 7. And like I said, many others, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button so we can get to our goal of 150 likes. We will go live all the way through this race. I know this is usually a NASCAR-oriented channel, but I will reiterate throughout this broadcast many times. I know the Coca-Cola 600 is scheduled to begin just after 6 p.m. We were originally supposed to go live with our pre-race coverage of that race at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. As a result of this having a late start, you will have full flag-to-flag coverage of this race right here on the channel. Our Coca-Cola 600 coverage will begin as soon as this race is done. So probably looking at about 8 p.m.-ish later on this evening that we will go live for the Coke 600. And obviously when we do go live, the race will have started already. So if you don't mind, maybe even keeping me updated in the chat with what's going on in that race, you are very much able to do so. Get the time and scoring back up here on the leaderboard. Should be getting back to going green here shortly. There we go.
Position starts
It's in the speed of your car. Things for them there, Marty. Dylan under this drivers pit road and didn't hear lap 4. Here he is. So right here, with 6 laps complete, and they feeling of Indianapolis 500.
6 laps complete, though, all under caution, so our average speed's only 88.046 miles per hour with these cars that average a lap of over 230 miles per hour. But as of right now, again, a very slow start to this race. Though, for Scott McLaughlin, maybe a good thing. He's able to save some fuel and lead laps, not something you usually are able to do at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in this very race. But McLaughlin able to maybe get a little bit ahead of pit strategy and get some lap slide in for the confidence boost. Of course, he qualified on the pole on each of the top 3 positions, staying in the same order in which they qualified here for this initial start. Really, for most of the top 5 or 6, they've all stayed at least in the same row, with not being able to really get up to full speed yet, as the yellow had taken place again in turn 1 at the back of the field. Larson did technically lose a spot. It looked like the Alexander Rossi off the initial start, so he'll be back in the 6th place position. But single file restart upcoming here now that the 3 wide initial start is out of the way. So again, Scott McLaughlin is your race leader. Will Power 2nd, Joseph Newgarden 3rd, Santino Ferrucci 4th, Alexander Rossi 5th, Kyle Larson in 6th, Renus VK in 7th, Pato Award in 8th, Felix Rosenquist 9th, and Kyle Kirkwood rounds out the top 10 as we get ready for this restart. "42 likes on the stream. Appreciate that, everybody. Again, our goal is to get to 150 here this evening. All those storms, by the way, that went through the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are actually headed my way. I live in Northwest Ohio, which is about a 4-hour drive for me to get to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I've been there a few times now, once for the Indy 500 in 2022, but also a couple NASCAR races there. So it's about a 4-hour drive for me, and the way the weather is shifting, that same exact storm that went through there will be going through here. So hopefully there's no power outage issues or anything of that nature. There were some pretty heavy thunderstorms that went through that area, and it actually messed with the NBC broadcast for a little bit when I was watching during the weather delay earlier. They had to cut the commercial break for an extra long period of time on multiple occasions. So I really hope that we don't lose power here and we can keep this stream going. But it is worth noting that those same storms again are coming my way. And looking at the radar on the top left-hand corner of the screen for on NBC, it looks like it is getting here pretty close. It's not raining yet, but it's definitely getting dark out there.
Right bank of the exhaust there. It certainly looks like some sort of issue. You see it coming out of both. Just, again, such an unfortunate thing to happen so fast. Dave Burns.
With Marcus Erickson now walking out of the infield care center, can you believe it?
I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. It's just so frustrating to say. It's such a good job rebuilding that car. We tried it all last weekend. We fought it all week to begin it, and then this happens. It's just I can't believe it. Actually.
The 2022 Indy 500 champion is out.
And Marcus, Dave, as you know, isn't just talking about himself, he's thinking about his team. NBC's coverage of the Indy 500 is brought to you by Firestone Tires, the redefining limits. Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach its goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by United Rentals, official equipment rental partner of IndyCar and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Everybody's back to where they were at about 10 o'clock this morning, but we are going racing.
All right, green flag back in the air, single file restart. Scott McLaughlin leading the field, and already 2 and 3 wide action off turn 4 down the main straightaway. Wheel-to-wheel contact there as Kyle Larson about got squeezed into the inside wall. He's losing many positions here off this initial start, and still drivers jockeying for position in the middle of the pack, side by side, getting to green here today. Tough to tell exactly how many spots Larson lost, but he definitely lost quite a few on the front stretch as he was caught napping as they got to the green. Cars at the back of the field pitted for fuel towards the back half of this caution right before we went to green flag racing. Trying to get a little bit off strategy, but no green flag laps in this thing really weren't able to make so much extra fuel mileage up, but it is worth noting that there were cars that pitted. So circuiting lap 12 in this race after a nearly right around 10 lap caution from lap 1 to where we are at right now. Might have a slight buffer, by the way, of my viewing of watching this race with streaming on Hulu with the weather I have coming. So notice a little bit of a buffer, at least on my end, just moments ago. So if there is a longer period of delay there, I'll try to catch up as much as I can during the commercial breaks. Pretty tight at the front of the field as McLaughlin's led the first now 12 laps of the race. Lap 13 circuiting into turn 1. Top 3 still all remaining the same off this restart with Scott McLaughlin in the lead, Will Power second, Joseph Newgarden third, and then in fourth, Santino Ferrucci, Alexander Rossi in fifth. Down the back straightaway into turn 3. Not a lot of passes so far in the early going for those top 10 positions outside of course, the initial start, which there was a little bit, and then this restart that just took place moments ago.
Here you saw how low that engine RPM went.
All right, here it is from high above. Watch Larson as he slips. They go through, they round him up.
It's further back though, Jeff. You see, I think it was maybe Takuma Sato,
but I don't know. I think the green was already out when Sato popped it. We'll find out, as it was awfully close for Larson in the attenuator front. Yes, Scott McLaughlin leads. Will Power leads the defending Indy 500 champ. That's Joseph Newgarden. Let's talk more about Larson. Here's Marty.
Yeah, you guys got it. He missed shift and he went to third gear. That's what happened, Mitch. He lost 10 spots in that restart. He's gained a couple back since then, but he went to third gear accidentally.
No big deal here. You're still right in the mix. Larson runs 13th. Let's watch this on Takuma Sato. Is he going in the short shoot? Well, that is dicey. And Larson might get a freight train now as he had the lift coming off 2.
You heard clear by 3. His spotter telling him. Now you see he's at Castro Neves.
Veterans will pounce on inexperience. You see it right there. Two big stories of this year's Indy 500. Kyle Larson doing the double, well, that's now a modified double with the Indy 500 Coke 600. And Elio Castro Neves is drive for 5. He's trying to become the first to ever win 5 Indy 500s.
Look, for Larson, that's a great guy to follow. He knows how to get to the front of this race, so I know he's probably upset he lost that position, but at the same time, this is a great guy to learn from over this first stint. Get into a rhythm, feel out your car, start working those adjustments that the drivers have in the cockpit so that he has more experience by the time we get to the second half of this race.
And side thinks about it on Felix Rosenquist and then jump back in, but this Gainbridge has been pretty swift. Herder's on the move. 5 positions since that restart. He's complaining about getting the rev limiter as Elio Castro Neves looks to make a move on Takuma Sato. This will give Larson another chance. Now, Larson's got to learn. Hold back here. Don't send it. Now roll into the throttle. Not a good enough run probably to make a pass, but that's incredible adjustments from Kyle Larson just in the first 16 laps of his Indy 500 experience. Going back to Colton Herta, complaining about the soft limiter inhibiting his ability to run up, I think, in tow in the draft and make moves on the back straightaway. All right. A caution came out on the very first racing lap. Tom Blomqvist lost control of his car as his teammate Felix Rosenquist goes up the inside of Pato O'Ward. Let's hear from Tom.
And Tom is watching that. I know disappointed that you are out of the race. What did you experience behind the wheel?
Well, obviously not a lot. Yeah, I'm just so disappointed with the guys because we've never made a single mistake, all month long, and then basically or like that. Still at the start, just getting a little bit too low, and then clip the curb and just no speeds when there's not much force. So yeah, it spun me around. So obviously I'm got to the guys who got involved in that mess. But most importantly, obviously everyone's fine. But I'm really disappointed for the team. They've worked so hard. I think our cars are really good. And then in these race conditions, I'm just sad for them more than anything. Very annoyed.
Glad you're okay. Kevin Lee, rookie Marcus Armstrong is also out coasting to a stop without power. Did you get to race it all in your first Indy 500 before the problem?
Unfortunately, no. We just got through one corner, and then during the safety car, we had an engine failure. So not the best time for it, and I feel really bad for everyone in the number 11 car.
Running this race, Scott McLaughlin in the yellow submarine. He's racing in a special tribute race suit to Rick Mears, one of his mentors. And of course, it's 40 years since Rick won one of his 4 Indy 500s. Until the drip of the green, McLaughlin had never led a lap in his 3 previous Indy 500s. Now Scotty Mack and the 33s have led all 18 laps so far.
Talk about mentorship. McLaughlin benefited so much when he came to the U.S. to start racing IndyCars for the first time. Had no oval experience. You've got the Rocket Rick Mears, not only a 4-time winner, a 6-time pole sitter coaching you. And then also we found out McLaughlin had former Team Penske driver Simon Pagenaud, also an Indy 500 winner, coaching. As you see, Simon looking on there. So great to have him back at the racetrack after a concussion and an injury at Mid-Ohio. Pagenaud has really helped.
Oh, he's been out ever since then? I had no clue.
Is Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Scott McLaughlin reached out to Simon, saying, hey, I feel like I need some help at the Indianapolis. That's my weakest racetrack. And Simon was more than happy to Scott McLaughlin and help out Team Penske. It's race team. It's the open volunteers. To Scott McLaughlin. Here's one interesting thing. A moment ago on the radio, Townsend, Kyle Boyer said we give us making some fuel. With that caution, that's 8 laps. That very early on caution. Does it open up the playbook a little bit for the strategists because they had so much caution to start the race?
Well, it's so funny, Marty, because you'll remember Kyle Moyer pleading to Simon Pagenaud back in 2019 to save fuel, and Pagenaud refused, said, I'm leading, I'm staying up front. We'll have to see how it plays out for this year with McLaughlin and Moyer.
Yeah, and Pagenaud went on to win that Indianapolis 500 as well. So we'll see what'll happen here with McLaughlin leading a bunch of laps in the early going. Battle for position between Colton Herta and Rinus VeeKay. VeeKay also lost a spot the lap before that to Pato O'Ward, so he's lost 2 positions over the last couple laps, now falling to the 9th place spot. Your top 10 as of right now, the intervals between them have Scott McLaughlin in the lead. A 1.7 second difference between himself and Will Power in second. Joseph Newgarden 2.1 seconds back in third. Santino Ferrucci 2.8 seconds back in fourth. 3.9 seconds off the lead is Alexander Rossi in fifth. 6th place is Felix Rosenquist at 4 seconds off the lead. Pato O'Ward is 5.5 seconds back in 7th. Colton Herta 6 seconds back in 8th. Rinus VeeKay is 7.5 seconds off the lead in 9th. And Kyle Kirkwood is now 8.5 seconds off the lead. So that is your intervals in the top 10. We've got our first comer on the pit road.
Unfortunately, this looks like maybe a
unscheduled
to last year. A premature end to the Indy 500 campaign.
Hinch, if you're Honda HRC right now, after 23 laps of 200, that's 2 Hondas smoking early. That should be a concern for the rest of the field.
Caution's out.
This has been an incredibly important campaign for Kat and her influence. Young women, and especially young female athletes.
All right. Eddie Murphy is back for Netflix's Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Only on Netflix this July, rated R, and he Diffie? Gotta check this out.
beautiful Beverly Hills. Again. He's got 10 wide. Whoa! Right to the outside. Maybe. Get pressure. That's fast. Which is all the so Polly in Beverly Hills. You like tried it off.
I didn't think that was going to roll into more ads after the fact, but we are seeing some pit stop sequences going on here during this commercial break as we're under caution for the second time today at the Indianapolis 500. Catherine Legg's engine failure and possible fluid on the racetrack as a result of that is the reason for the caution. This is the second engine failure we've already seen today. We also saw a stallage of Connor Daly before the race even began as he was unable to take the green flag and has been on pit road really ever since. Fittipaldi remains out of this thing. Marcus Ericsson is out. Tom Bloomquist is out. And then Armstrong with an engine failure. Now Catherine Legg. So just 28 cars remain on the track as we're still very early into this action. Daly's not out, by the way. My bad on that. Leaderboard is a little off. So Scott McLaughlin won the race off pit road. Looks like the top four may have stayed out. Stingray Robb is going to take over his first lead of the race. Connor Daly second, Christian Lundgaard third, and Graham Rahal fourth. I mentioned Daly having the issues early. That was not him. On the leaderboard, it shows him twice. Once at the bottom of the leaderboard and now once towards the top in second. So again, pit strategy in the early going to the Indianapolis 500, what is pretty much one of the more prestigious races and one of the more pit strategy races on the IndyCar season. A lot of fuel mileage and strategy games to try to gain track position throughout. One of the factors in what makes this race as fun as it is, on top of the high speeds, of course. So Stingray Robb, again, is your race leader coming to this next restart. We're at lap 26 of 200 in the Indianapolis 500. Long way still to go in this one with the two early crashes. Well, one crash and then one caution with the engine failure and then again possible fluid. Shouldn't be as long of a yellow flag this time around, though.
500 here on in Iran. To be honest, there were stages today where we were doubting whether we would ever see this. So the majority of the field dove for pit lane. Stingray Robb did not. Connor Daly did not. Nor did teammates Christian Lundgaard or Graham Rahal. So it's
And so here we go. Green flag back in the air. Stingray Robb leading laps under caution, but to the outside goes the hometown hero Connor Daly to the race lead into turn one from the second starting spot on that same pit strategy. All these fast cars that qualified up at the front of the field trying to get there as quick as possible to maintain with their track position that they qualified for earlier in the month. More accordion lines and moves being made on the back straightaway to the outside. Santino Ferrucci gets by Graham Rahal. Rahal, another one of those drivers who stayed out as he started back in the last row of this one. Scott McLaughlin leads of everybody who just pitted. Then it would be Ferrucci, Newgarden, Rossi would be the top drivers of those that hit pit road during this most recent caution. McLaughlin making another pass on the front stretch into turn one on Christian Lundgaard. Lundgaard falls to the fourth place spot. Santino Ferrucci is now going to follow McLaughlin through that hole. And we've got a car up against the wall and spinning right around turn one into the short chute of turn two. It is the the 8 car of Linus Lundqvist. It looked like the number 2 on the quarter panel. I thought that was Newgarden. I was about to say my pick. But no, it is Lundqvist. Linus Lundqvist is in the wall and is spun, and 3 early cautions now in the Indy 500.
To stay jacked up for this afternoon, but in a lot of cases,
Too much, and on a completely green racetrack. We already talked about it a little bit. With that rain, there's just no grip in this early stage of the race. Moves being tried that, like you say, you normally only see in the last 20 laps. We're seeing them here in the first 30.
The AMR safety team have been way busier than they thought they would or hoped they would. We thank them for their service. Oh, keep your eye on the American
wide.
Legion Honda of Linus Lundqvist. Whoa, he went right on the inside, lost control. It was an ambitious move. That didn't pay off.
We got to see how that started. James, it looked like 4 wide. It's the last one to the party, because that's the golden rule in those 3 and 4 wide situations. Last in, first out. Linus got a little loose from the bottom there. He did a good job catching it about 3 times, but 4 wide into turn 1, it's just insanity. That's why I want to see how they started. Who got there last? Because I've never seen 4 wide into any turn. Check this out, Diff.
Car on the inside is the car that crashed.
That is wild. It looks like Talladega. See, it was Kyle Kirkland was one. That was Kiffin Simpson, another rookie, his teammate.
Wow. So that's 2 crashes in a week for Linus Lundqvist. It's been a tough one, his first Indy 500.
It was 90 laps before we had our first caution last year, guys. We haven't even made it to lap 30. We've had 3. As you say, this has been an aggro run. Look, by this time of the day, normally the guys are back in the bus lot having a couple beers. This is a different deal.
Townsend's got his dad face on here at the moment.
Under caution for the 3rd time now in the Indy 500, still in the first 30 laps of the race. Averaging a slow 136.209 miles per hour. Average speed at Bristol Motor Speedway in a NASCAR race might be quicker than this. The way this thing has gone so far. But as of right now, Connor Daly is your race leader under caution on a pit strategy in which he has not made a stop for tires yet today. Stingray Robb on the same strategy is in the 2nd place position. Scott McLaughlin 3rd is the first on fresh tires. Santino Ferrucci in 4th. And Christian Lundgaard is in the 5th place position. Lundgaard, another one of the drivers that stayed out of the pits during the 2nd yellow for the Catherine Legg engine failure. Grant from 7th on back through the field that is still in this race is not only on the lead lap but also on fresh tires with the pit stops. Joseph Newgarden is in 7th. Alex Rossi is in 8th. Felix Rosenquist in 9th, and Will Power is 10th. 11th is Colton Herta, Takumo Sato 12th, Rinus VeeKay 13th, Alex Palou 14th, Pato O'Ward 15th, Kyle Larson 16th, Scott Dixon 17th, Christian Rasmussen in 18th, Capino in 19th, Helio Castroneves 20th, and Carpenter in 21st. Romain Grosjean is in 22nd, Kyle Kirkwood 23rd, Ryan Hunter-Reay 24th. Kyle Simpson is 25th, Callum Ilott 26th, Marco Andretti 27th, and then as you just saw, Linus Lundqvist involved in that wreck, so he will be done for the day in 28th. Catherine Legg out with a mechanical failure will finish 29th. Armstrong 30th, Tom Bloomquist 31st, Marcus Ericsson 32nd, and Fittipaldi will round out the field in 33rd.
Everywhere, June 21st. Gee, tastes great. Fixes tired fast. They're loving it. Here at the Indy 500, the day has come good, and we're going to make the most of it. All right, let's join the Peacock pit box and say hi to Danica Patrick, Mike Tirico. Hey, guys.
Yeah, Diff, proceed with caution in the snake pit. Proceed with caution over here. 3 cautions so far in our first 30 innings. You see, the profit. Looks like everybody's a little edgy here. So.
I think they all drink way too much. That's right there. And so trying to think about things. So let's take into consideration the fact that there was heavy rain. It tracked off a lot. And, you know, guys are getting caught out. They're getting a little too low, and unfortunately, there's no grip down there.
And our look is right out here to turn one, and we watched the traffic jam going there. 6 cars out so far, Diff, all 6 Hondas back at team. Yes, it has been a rough start, a rough opening, 32 laps. Another look at what happened to Linus Lundqvist in the American Legion Honda, right down on the inside.
And this gives me some peace of mind in the sense that it wasn't Linus making it 4 wide. He was actually the front of that train. They ended up 4 wide, but when you're on the inside like that, Townsend, it's so hard to pull it off.
It certainly is, just simply too low. All right.
Back under green at Indianapolis, lap 33. And what was a 33 car field down to 27. All fighting still for the win at the end of the 500 miles. 3 wide to the outside for the lead into turn 1 goes the man on fresh tires and the pole sitter, Scott McLaughlin. He comes out with the race lead, and Santino Ferrucci comes out of turn 2 with 2nd place. Connor Daly, who restarted in the lead, already back to 3rd on those older tires. Field still trying to scramble through the drivers on older tires behind the top 2. Big move down to the bottom of the racetrack, slightly below the white line of the backstretch. More 3 and 4 wide racing into turn 3 as they fan out. And luckily, no incident there. Very aggressive start for a lot of these drivers, part of why we have seen a couple of cautions already. So many passes to be made on the racetrack right now. It's so hard to keep up with all of them at the same time. Battling for positions going on endlessly. On the leaderboard, though, Connor Daly and Stingray Robb still remaining where they are in 3rd and 4th. Didn't get through turns 1 and 2 very well, but were able to hang on just behind them and in the draft. Helps with Christian Lundgaard also on those older tires in 5th place behind him. Lundgaard actually had made a pass. And looks like Joseph Newgarden had fallen behind just a little bit on the restart back to 7th. Connor Daly made a pass for 2nd place on Santino Ferrucci. That took way in turn 1. Daly putting a fight to these drivers even on older tires. And now he's making a run after Scott McLaughlin for the lead. Graham Rahal, Colton Herta battling for 8th. Position change on McLaughlin has led the most so far. Pato O'Ward in the 12th place position on board with his camera right now on the NBC broadcast. Right in line behind Will Power, has a run on him on the back straightaway. Power goes to the inside, O'Ward to the outside lane and clears him before getting into turn 3. Will Power, after starting 2nd, back in 12th, and he's lost several positions to drivers on the same pit strategy as him, so he's definitely lost touch of his 2 teammates who are closer to the front. Pass for the lead now on the front stretch. Lead change at the line. It's Connor Daly out in front in the Indianapolis 500 once again. Got the track position and now is going after it here in the early laps. For fuel saving, maybe a little bit more likely for some of the front runners and the drivers at the front of the field. And maybe it was possible that McLaughlin was backing off to hop in the draft and save more gas to that of Daly, who is on a different pit strategy. Either way, though, Daly led that last lap at the line. It was our 5th lead change of the day. And off of turn 4, Daly will lead another lap at the line, as there's a little bit of a gap building now between himself and the 3 car of Scott McLaughlin behind him. Pass on the front stretch as Rossi has passed Lundgaard to get back inside the top 5. That pass was for 5th place. And we'll see if Joseph Newgarden's going to be able to follow him and make that pass on Lundgaard down the back stretch headed for turn 3. The case, Newgarden moves up to 6th. Figured the hole was going to be there with the loss of momentum after having to lift for Lundgaard to hop back in line. And now he's starting to get freight trained by all these drivers on fresher tires behind him. He's last of those that or one of the last cars at least, of those that were on the older tires. Graham Rahal also on the same strategy back in 9th. Colton Herta to 7th, also getting by Lundgaard. 3 positions lost for Christian strategy. Best lap of the day for Daly, a 40.807. Fastest lap that I've seen so far on the race, at least for those at the very front of the field. Looks like Stingray Rob had a 40.344. Obviously going to be a little bit quicker in the draft than when you are leading the field, and I'm sure that was likely the case for running that lap time. But looking all the way through the field, I believe that is the fastest lap so far. I can't tell exactly what lap that took place on. Doesn't say like it does on our raw feeds with the NASCAR raw feeds, but so far fastest lap of the race for the 4th place runner. It was a very late move getting down towards turn 1 to make that pass, but he was able to do so. Kyle Larson moving back up from the 17th place position on the restart now to 12th. Lost 12 positions initially from his 5th place starting spot. That was off the initial start of the race. Or not the initial start, but it was the restart after the lap 1 incident. So right around lap 10 when we went back to green after the first yellow. And he had lost 12 positions getting freight trained as he had missed a shift out of turn 4 coming to the green. But he's slowly working his way back through the field, obviously not in as much of a fuel-saving mode as he tries to get the track position back, but he's making good passes right now and should be able to get back in the top 10 here shortly with the pace being set. And he does watch Pato O'Ward making a pass on Lundgaard for 9th. Not that far in front of him. Big accordion effect trying to break the draft for Alexander Rossi after making a pass for 4th place. Colton Herta in the top 5 and 5th, and Newgarden right behind both of them. Almost a quarter of the way through the Indianapolis 500 after a slow start and 3 cautions in the early going of the race. Here's an interview with Catherine Legg, who has retired early.
The garage, but obviously I lost drive and the smoke started pouring out. So
Here is Connor Daly. So you saw Stingray Rob come in before. These guys are on the same strategy. Connor Daly was able to go a lap or 2 longer. So that cycled Scott McLaughlin back to the front. Stingray Rob comes out of the pits. Ferrucci is shadowing the yellow submarine. And Alexander Rossi is threatening. Chevrolet powered cars, 1.
So Connor Daly pitting from the lead has given Scott McLaughlin back to the point at the front of the field. And as you heard, Stingray Rob pitted the lap before that. As they were on a strategy of not pitting under the most recent caution, but obviously pitting now under green flag conditions. Now the hope is that they stay on the lead lap, which is going to be difficult out of the draft as they came apart from each other with pitting on separate laps from one another. And it looked like Stingray Rob was very much in danger of going a lap down the next lap or two. So we'll see if that is going to end up holding out for him. A quick yellow right after that pit stop for Connor Daly would probably be the best thing for him, because then more than likely I would like to think he's going to cycle at least back through some of the field. Even if they all don't pit, he'll get some of that track position back immediately. But again, McLaughlin back out to the front following that pit stop. Under a commercial break, side by side, of course, on NBC, for those of you watching on your local NBC affiliate. We'll go through the full field running order once again here. Again, McLaughlin is your race leader. Santino Ferrucci 2nd. 3rd place is Alex Rossi. 4th for Colton Herta. And Joseph Newgarden rounds out the top 5. Alex Palou in 6th. Pato O'Ward 7th. Felix Rosenquist 8th. Tyler 11th. Graham Rahal 12th. 13th is Renus VK. Will Power 14th. And Takumo Sato in 15th. Capino is in 16th. Roman Grosjean 17th. Helio Castroneves 18th. Kyle Kirkwood 19th. And Ed Carpenter is 20th. Callum Ilot's 21st. Marco Andretti 22nd. Ryan Hunter-Reay 23rd. Christian Lundgaard 24th. And Connor Daly cycles out of the pits in 25th. 26 is Stingray Rob. Simpson is the last car in the lead lap in 27th. Out of the race is Linus Lundqvist after the most recent incident and the cause of the caution, our third one of the race. He'll finish in 28th. Catherine Legg, you just heard from moments ago. Engine failure in the Rick Ware Racing Honda. She'll end up finishing 29th today. Armstrong 30th. Tom Bloomquist 31st. Marcus Ericsson 32nd. And Fittipaldi rounds out our 33-car field here this afternoon. You're listening live on KRC. We'll take our first ad break at the Indianapolis 500. Like, comment, subscribe, as we'll have the full flag-to-flag coverage for this race for you guys moving forward. More pit stops happening on the right side of the screen on the side-by-side commercial break. Exiting that long pit road at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Top 5 on the leaderboard did not change during the commercial break.
Company that stands with every eye lit and faces inspiring legendary females like Catherine Legg. We just heard from Kat, the only female in the race today, sadly. And in recent times, she is one of the 6 retirements. Unfortunately, the Elf Honda is done. And speaking of Honda, we want to thank them for providing this wonderful aerial coverage today of the 108th Indy 500. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you. Welcome back. So 48 laps down, we're approaching that quarter-way mark. And quite often you'll hear about breaking it into blocks of 50 as there's a move on Scott McLaughlin around the outside because Stingray Rob and Connor Daly, they had just come back out. Fuel, fresh tires, they're on the move, and McLaughlin's just running at his pace. Exactly. I think the call came from McLaughlin probably to start thinking about fuel mileage here. You start working backwards from the end of the race.
That's right. The favorite guys. And I eliminated when you don't get bigger.
And McLaughlin will benefit now from getting a nice draft. 2 different strategies up front, Daly and Rob, and then McLaughlin leading the primary strategy. We'll call it the primary with McLaughlin, and let's call it the alternate with Daly and Rob. That's what we'll be tracking for the next 150 laps. All right, well, talking of pit stops, let's have a look at the pit stop predictor, Hench, by NTT.
We know fuel range here is about 29 to 32, 33 laps. So based on the previous time to pit, you can see where that strategy starts to break. The top 15 all in on that first or that last caution, I should say. So on a similar program, but it starts getting creative after that. And Townsend, that can just add up and aggregate throughout the course of the race, put you in a position to be off strategy, kind of like Rossi did back in 2016. So keep an eye on these windows as we move forward. Thank you to NTT for the predictions.
Just getting out of the throttle there a little bit. Alexander Rossi, the Mission Foods on board, as he just manages his run. Shadowing him, by the way, is the Hy-Vee Honda of Christian Lundgaard, who thought about a move. He thought. Now, this is not for position. These guys are on different strategies, same as Rob and Daly at the front. They were all the cars that initially stopped on lap 4 and most recently came back in. But Christian had to make a pretty swift decision there not to go through with it on Alexander Rossi. Yeah, Rossi not at all interested in falling back. Right now, Rossi sits 3rd on the primary strategy. That onboard was great because you could see how difficult it is in turbulent air. What can Rossi do about it? Well, there's controls behind the wheel that he can adjust. There are also roll bars, and then on pit lane, he likely will tell his team, give me a turn, maybe a turn and a half of front wing, sharpen up the handling of this Mission Foods onboard. Kevin Lee, what you got?
So on Friday, if you were with us for the final practice for Carb Day, Santino Ferrucci, who qualified up front, was struggling. They took the car back to the garage. He told me to get that started by the end of practice. Let's listen to radio.
They take care of me now. Baby, good, that's how you know. That's forward.
That sounds to me like the great AJ Foyt chimed in with some setup information, and Ferrucci feels it right away. How cool is that?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable to think that that experience is still relevant at the Speedway, guys, all these years later.
89-year-old AJ Foyt. He said to Larry Foyt on the radio just there, you can thank your old man for that one. And Santino cherishes the time that he gets to spend with Supertex at the race shop. He says that AJ, there he is at the shop in Texas more often than you would think. AJ is sitting in the sun at the track that made him world famous.
Absolutely fantastic. You know, this team last year was strong. They were in contention. They ran up front. They actually partnered with Team Penske to share information principally so that Team Penske could be even stronger at Indy. The partnership has paid off. Never would have thought I'd see that in my lifetime, a Penske technical partnership. But on that primary strategy, they are now best of class.
And who is it? It's a Penske and a Foyt at the front. Here's Marty.
Just quickly closing in on the second stop of the day for the leaders. So Kyle Kirkwood on the first stop of the day lost 14 positions. What happened? Well, Brian, his strategist took caution on the track.
Caution's out. What's it for? Oh, it's Felix Rosenquist. It's another Honda.
That is the third Honda.
Bring it in if you can.
And Rosenquist was having a great run. It was Chevrolet that had the challenges in qualifying. Now it's Honda in the race.
Something to remember, guys, is a lot of these motors went in these cars for the first time on Friday, only had 2 hours of running. Conditions quite a bit different, and these engines are tuned to within such a small margin of the tolerances for absolute performance. When you have a huge change in conditions, be it temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, that can really throw things off.
And we saw signs of potential issues going back to the first race of the month here at Indy, the road course race, the Grand Prix. There were some Honda issues early, even in practice. Marcus Armstrong was one of them.
That's two of the three Meyer Shank cars out of this race. Tom Blomqvist on lap one, Felix Rosenquist now. It just leaves Mr. Five-time Elio Castro Neves, and there he is in the blue and white car to your left.
And I've been in this situation before where full-time teammates exit the Indy 500. What that potentially allows is for Meyer Shank Racing to think about strategically reassigning their fastest guns on pit lane. Maybe even their best fueler, whoever that is. Maybe it is on Castro Neves' car already. If not, they can shuffle the board and try to give Elio Castro Neves the chance to make the miracle happen.
And the miracle is by winning a fifth, an unprecedented fifth Indianapolis 500. That was my reference of Mr. Five-time. Maybe it could be.
We've had such short runs of green flag running. You want to work on your car. You want to feel the balance out. And it's this stop-start nature makes it so much more difficult from inside the cockpit for these drivers.
Marty, that caution came out when you were halfway through your story on Kirkwood. Finish it up if you would, mate.
It happened, Stiff. So Brian heard it for Kyle Kirkwood when they lost 14 spots on that first half of the day. Said that was completely my fault. He actually picked up Felix Rosenquist, who's now out of the race and only 2 pit stalls away from them. And he was counting Felix Rosenquist to his box. They have the same sponsor. It's a busy pit road. A lot of colors. That can happen. Meanwhile, Larson had a much better restart the last time. He gained a few spots. Others pitting. Larson is now back in the top 10. He is sitting 8th. He has a real quick, helpful hint. If I roll bar to the front, what does that do? So what was the answer to that, Hinch? He wanted to make sure he had it right. Depends on which bar.
He said bar to the front. Yeah, depends if you're talking rear bar or front bar. Ultimately, he needs to decide
bar. Roll in some front bar.
if he's going to roll in front bar. It sounds to me like a stiffer front bar. That's going to take away a little bit of front grip. And when you're in traffic, you normally want a little bit more front grip. As guys, we see most of the field now peeling off into pit lane. Another set of yellow flag stops. This is where the guys and girls over the wall make their money. Kevin.
Antonio Ferrucci is going to be the first of the leaders to hit his box. He was warned. Callum Ilott pitting in front of him is way behind him, so he may have to hold to avoid any kind of contact. As you might expect, Fulton Herd a +9. He wants no changes. 30.
Alexander Rossi was asked by Brian Barnhart, his strategist, you want any changes? One word answer. No, very happy with this. Has been healing. Scott McLaughlin in pit stall number 1. Each
Uncharacteristic and also slow for Ferrucci and racing there for I just got that 6 And Colton Herder was blocked there as well, trying to get out. It was a mad scramble, but power and advantage to Alexander Rossi and Arrow McLaren, those Chevys. What a sad sight here for Felix Rosenquist and Maya Shank. The Sirius XM car out of the Indianapolis 500.
Fourth caution. Oh, hang on.
This is the scramble up.
Thought they were going to commercial break.
But look at that. You got it. A little hip check. Take evasive action. These guys are chipped up and fired up today.
Now they're headed to commercial. Lap 60 of the Indianapolis 500. We're averaging a yellow every 15 laps because we've had 4 cautions so far. And just as we did under the last yellow flag pit stops, Connor Daly and Stingray Robb stayed out on the racetrack, so they will be the leaders. And Alexander Rossi, who won the race off pit road, picking up 2 positions, will actually restart in 3rd, which is where he was running at the time of the yellow. Scott McLaughlin, who was leading, will now be 4th, and 2nd of which off the race from pit road. Colton Herta is in 5th, and that is your top 5 for this ensuing race start. You're listening live to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 on KRC. Again, full flag-to-flag coverage coming for you guys throughout today, even with the NASCAR race starting in about a half hour from now. Once more, live commentary for the Coca-Cola 600 will begin following our live commentary of this Indianapolis 500, of course, later on. As soon as this race comes to an end, we will begin things there. Obviously, a very slow race pace for the start, maybe only furthering the amount of lost time of watching the Coca-Cola 600 for myself and giving you guys a live commentary of that one. But that drop of the green flag for the Coke 600 is scheduled for 6:22 Eastern Time today. So about a little under 45 minutes from now, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway will get going. And again, live commentary for that stream will begin as soon as this race comes to an end. We'll see if Daly can hold on to the lead on the restart. Not as old of tires this time around as what they had from the initial start. Well, maybe they actually have more because there's more green flag laps on the tires this time versus the last time they were out in front. Overall laps, so not as many. We have so many caution laps there in the early going, so could be a little bit of a difference.
IB reaches goal. Field. And by Stone Tires. Refining limits. Now, while we run aboard the High V Honda with Christian Lingard, I want to remind you that you have a chance to win one of 3 Corvettes, courtesy of High V. All you've got to do is scan that QR code on the right-hand side of the screen on your graphic there with your mobile device and enter for a chance to win. I can tell you that 1 has been given away already, so you've got a chance to win 2 left for the remainder of the season. Good luck. It's real, and you could be driving away in one of those beautiful Corvettes with thanks to High V. Back at the Speedway, we're back under caution. 61 laps down, 139 to go.
We went to the break and I told you these guys are all fired up. Have a look at this. Rossi versus McLaughlin. That's one.
Yeah, watch this. There's low swerves at Newgarden, but I think gives up almost position on the timing line with that swerve because Newgarden was able to speed ahead a little bit.
But then you heard Colin Herta say that he thought Rossi held him up. He did have to hit the brakes for Rossi's release, but look at the green and black car, Greenus VK being investigated for an unsafe release. Going,
yeah, that's going to be a drive-through because you are not supposed to go straight to the high line with cars running there. As you see, Alex Palou gets the knife out here and goes.
Wow. It does look like Joseph's car almost accelerates a little bit before they get to the line.
Santino Ferrucci, the Homes for Our Troops Chevrolet.
That's the fueler. He tries to come out, plugs back in, and that lost Santino Ferrucci maybe those 4 spots on pit lane.
And watch this. This is Romain Grosjean on the 77.
Oh.
And here comes Rinus VK. No, it's already happened. That's Elio Castro Neves on the inside.
I think Palou had to slow down a little bit as Colin Herta slowed down. So that this is the unsafe release that Colin Herta was trying to call in. Rossi straight out to the fast lane.
Not as egregious as Rinus VK's release, but still not safe.
I would say only because there wasn't contact. He drove straight out there. There was no one in the transition lane. McLaughlin was going straight. He wasn't coming out. I see Colin's point on that one.
If drive-through penalty would be brutal at this point in the race, we'll have to see what happens.
What's going on with these guys today? The Indy 500, that's what's going on.
Still under caution and awaiting the restart at the Indianapolis 500. Another side-by-side commercial break on NBC, so we'll take another break here as we're waiting to get back to green flag racing in this one. So far, it has been a caution-filled race. 4 yellows, and I think there were only 4 cautions the entire race of 2022 when I went. Sorry, more in the first 64 laps of this one, but again, we will hope for the best. Hopefully, we get a lot of green flag racing in here, and we can get this thing finished in a timely fashion so we can get the Coca-Cola 600 live commentary stream underway as soon as we can. Mr. Fulton Mraz, Smokey Boy JoJo's, some of the others that have just tuned into the chat here recently, thanks for tuning in. Earl Arnold Jr., Rainer Martinez, also welcome to the stream. Savvy Dayro Racer, Dale, thanks for tuning in. Patrick Shadley, Nick Ashbourne, Ace Alshire, many others. Appreciate it, everybody. Only 59 likes on the stream so far, though, so be sure to hit the like button so we can get to our goal of 150 before the end of this one. And vote for who you think will win the race today. You have until lap 100 at the halfway mark to vote for who you think will win. 47% of you say that Kyle Larson will win this Indy 500. 27% saying other. 14% have Joseph Newgarden. Scott McLaughlin, who's dominated so far, had 13% of the votes. 124 votes casted so far. Green flag coming shortly.
We have had 4 cautions thus far in the opening 63 laps of the 108th Indy 500. It's coming to an end. We're going to see the green. More than 300,000 people here are ready for celebration. Let's go. Ferrucci's pulled out.
Here we go. 4 wide again on the front stretch. Up front.
Oh!
Says this is 5 corner.
What a move.
Side of the yellow. White. Power. Side.
I've never seen so many runs go 2x2 here at the Speedway, guys. There seems to be grip on that line, and now Herta getting 31 of Stingray Rob.
Restarts today. Absolute insanity, especially in the meat of the pack. Castro Neves and Award mixing it up back there. Alexander Rossi and Alex Palou run nose to tail up front.
That was a decisive, determined move by Scott McLaughlin, but Stingray Rob is able to come back. Takes the top spot.
Scott Dixon in the blue and orange car trying to make moves, but there's Santino Ferrucci making moves again. Now time it was on the white and orange, number 7 of Alex Rossi.
Ferrucci had that pit stop with the fuel probe getting stuck, but very quickly the Stars and Stripes car back to the front. Continue that. We've got a note from race control, Renus VK, unsafe release. We showed you the replay before we went to the break, and he has been sent to the back of the field. Meanwhile, his teammate, Christian Rasmussen, is surging forward and has made up 15 positions from where he started. He's one of 6 rookies in this field. Well, 3 rookies are already out. There's Rob McLaughlin, Herder, Daly, back to you've got Newgarden, then Ferrucci, behind him Alexander Rossi, below then Rasmussen, the young rookie who's graduated from the Indy Next Series up into the big time. There he is right there, flashing by, and he has shown big, bold, brave moves here today.
Whoa, very close to the wall. I think that was maybe power using every inch of the racetrack. Defensive move now from Rossi. Below to the outside in turn 1.
Good. It's close, but Palou makes it work. I thought they were going to touch.
Christian Rasmussen wanted to get on the inside there. He's getting to mix it up.
And Kyle Larson continues to learn so much there. Sits behind Rasmussen, but is able to see the Ferrucci's and Newgarden Palou battle.
That's Augustine Canapino in the black and green Hunkos Hollander car right behind Bill Power trying to make a move on the Penske driver who started up on the front row. Things not going well for Pat right now.
There's Canapino there with that red top of his car. Here is Connor Daly pulling out, just easing by Colton Herder there. That was for 3rd spot. And I think Colton and the Gamebridge team is looking very closely now at fuel windows. They were able to do 34 laps on a stint last year. That yellow coming at lap 58 was not quite the right time. You can hear him lifting on board. Watch that Firestone telemetry on the lower left-hand side, especially the green throttle trace on the front straightaway. Is he lifting? There it is. Saving mad gas on the front straight.
There's a ton of savings right now. Lots of lifting. Connor Daly still on a slightly different strategy. They're about 16 laps apart, 15 laps apart from when they last pit.
Yeah, probably other one for us if he came hitting that. What a terrific sign of experience with Colton Herta now. Not something you would have heard his rookie year. He's finding the fuel number. He's telling his strategist kind of where it is, as opposed to with a rookie driver, he would explain line of communication strategist to driver on what to do and how to do it. Colton has learned well. And that's that British accent you heard on the radio. That was Rob Edwards. You got a quick look at him there. Yes, he's on the strategy stand. He's also the chief operating officer of Andretti Global. And his guy is in 4th place and looking strong. He's being shadowed by the defending Indianapolis 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden, in that Shell Chevy. Then it's Ferrucci, Palou, Rossi, Rasmussen, and Larson in the 10.
Based on how much Colton is lifting, you got to think that Newgarden's on a similar program.
For sure.
All these drivers right now trying to save a little bit of fuel. That just gives them more flexibility on when they can pit later in this stint. They can extend their window and open up some strategy options.
All right, let's show you. Look to the right-hand side of your screen. This is what to the front with authority looks like. Scotty Mack in the Pennzoil Chevy says, out of my way. That was a fierce display of ownership at the apex of turn 1. McLaughlin absolutely committed. Dust flying. Watch this.
Goes by Rossi, makes it 3-1. Oh, so close. Looks off 4 cars on the restart. Here's Takuma Sato in that red, blue, and white car.
Really? Castro Neves. Wow, 2 former winners, a 4-timer and a 2-timer. Bouncing it out at 2:30. You know what? That's just emblematic of today. That's just what it's been like as Sato drops his left side into the grass, comes alongside Romain Grosjean. This is what it was like for Elio.
Right, guys. I mean, did Sato not know he was there? He just kind of drove right into the side of him. Not much argument for why he wouldn't know he was there. Your spotter's talking to you, and you could probably see him from where he was.
And then this kind of gave us some heart palpitations. Alex Palou around
The surgeon absolutely carving it up in turn one. He is such a master of precision, doing a great job there. Fair, hard, but clean racing.
And you got to give both drivers there a lot of credit. Rossi making sure that his right front was just off the back, off the right or the left rear, of Alex Palou. I think back to that flyover that was 20 miles an hour, just inches apart in open wheel cars. Contact between wheel to wheel in these things can send cars airborne, massive accidents, but absolutely perfect precision from both of them.
Hey, what you got?
Just for now, Scott McLaughlin happy to let Stingray Rob lead, knowing that he will be here in a handful of laps. It looks like McLaughlin would win the race off pit road a moment ago. He did not. He almost lost 2 positions. Is there something going on with the 3 car? Listen in. So, James, it sounds like the pit stops from Scott McLaughlin for the rest of the day will get a look at how complicated with the procedure he now has to do for every stop.
Well, the procedure's not too bad. He's basically being asked to sort of pump the clutch up as he comes down pit lane before he comes into the box. So it's not adding a huge amount of workload, but it certainly is going to add some concern when we still have almost more than half this race to go.
James, as you know, when it comes to clutches, it's not a constant. These can get progressively worse as the race goes on.
And if you're sitting at home saying, why don't they just get a couple of the crew guys to push him off? Several years ago, IndyCar implemented a rule that you're no longer allowed to push off from that rear wing and assist them and give them an advantage out of the pit box.
Another thing to remember, it's not like a clutch in your road car. We don't have 3 pedals in IndyCar. There's just 2. The clutch is actually a paddle on the wheel, and it's not hydraulic. It's electronic. You just pull. It's what feels like a spring-loaded button, spring-loaded paddle, and then it's all electronically controlled. So you have that same kind of feel that you would on a traditional road car.
Stingray Rob for AJ Foyt Racing, the youngster from Idaho, leads the way, but he and Connor Daly are on a different strategy than everybody else in the top 17.
Currently circuiting lap 78 of the Indianapolis 500. Stingray Rob just pitted the most recent lap, giving up the lead back to Scott McLaughlin. Connor Daly on the same pit strategy has yet to pit, still in the second place position. Colton Herta is third. Joseph Newgarden fourth. Santino Ferrucci fifth. Alex Palou in sixth. Alexander Rossi seventh. Christian Rasmussen eighth. Kyle Larson ninth. And Will Power rounds out the top 10 in the 108th Indianapolis 500. We'll take another live commentary ad break here. You're listening live on KRC to the Indy 500. Getting closer to the halfway point, you guys have about 20 laps to vote for who you think is going to win the race before that voting poll closes, and we will have our diecast showing at the midway point in this one, or at least the commercial break. That would be right around the halfway point in this race if we're not under caution at that time. 45% of you still say that Kyle Larson will win. 26% say somebody other than Larson, McLaughlin, or Newgarden will win. And 15% of the votes going to both Joseph Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin. So we'll see. McLaughlin has led the most laps in this race. Although I will say that Stingray Rob's got to be getting pretty close in the lap sled category, as he like quite a few on that pit strategy. McLaughlin saving fuel, running in line behind him, but it's going to be interesting to see how this race is going to unfold once we get into the non-fuel saving mode and everybody's going to be good on fuel to the end. Still trying to shape things up for that. You still want to jockey for position if you're further back in the field because you need to get up to the front at some point. Now's the time to do it, or the easier time to do it. When you got guys on different fuel strategies just trying to save maybe more than others, that's the time to attack. You may have to pit just before them, but we have not seen green flag pit stops for the entire field yet in this one, but the way the 4 cautions in this race have played out so far, so we could be nearing green flag pit stops for the first time as we approach halfway. A tenth or two up. Still about 3-4 car lengths behind him as Herta continues to manage the gap in the second place position. And rain from Indianapolis has not gotten to me yet. It is getting close. It's been very dark for like an hour, it feels like. Maybe a little less than that. It was probably about like 25, 30 laps into this race when it started getting dark out. So I'm just waiting for it to let loose at this point. So hopefully we don't have any like buffering issues during that point. So I apologize again for that in advance if we do see that. But again, I do have some somewhat severe weather, at least thunderstorms coming my way. Not too severe. Whatever they had in Indianapolis, we'll have here, which will be a pretty heavy downpour. But that is still yet to come my way.
Full evening here in Indianapolis. Great to have you with us watching the Indy 500 here on NBC, and this telecast presented by Firestone. Just gone beyond 6 p.m. local time, 6 p.m. Eastern, as Christian Rasmussen there in that Dayglow yellow, white and black Chevy for Ed Carpenter Racing. He is in the mix. He's up to 7th ahead of Kyle Larson, Elico Castro Neves, and Will Power. And the Firestone biggest movers, check it out. He's up 17 position.
And he's done it on the back of some really aggressive moves early on. But I think what's fascinating, James, is now seems like he's settling in. He's not.
Well, the other thing about him is he says he's not taking those risks anymore. He's also driving with much quicker cars. The cars he was passing a little bit slower. He's obviously got this pace, so he's getting more and more comfortable, Dylan.
He is indeed, and those moves that we've seen him make all month, he said, you got to practice sometimes. You know what you can and can't get away from the race, so being confident for sure. He's feeling really good right now. He's got some veteran teammates early. Maybe the race and the team owner, Venus VK, have been tutoring him all month long. Team said he's doing a great job with his tools, doing everything right. And Christian came on the radio just now and said, I'm just chilling, running 7th right now. And you know what? He said the other day, I know what some of the other drivers have been saying about me. I'm too aggressive. I'm too bold. I'm making maybe some overly brave moves. But I don't care. I know I'm a rookie, but winning in the junior series is what got me to this point. So I'm focused on winning. I know what they say, but I don't care what they say. I keep doing and driving the way that got me here.
And as long as it works, that's cool. But the minute that it doesn't, everyone's going to go back to the moves that happened in practice, to, I'm sure, some of the conversations that he had with other drivers, or I should say other drivers with him. But hey, guys, for right now, he's a top rookie. He's running inside the top 10. You can't really fault him.
And it's a really great opportunity at this point in the race to just exhale. Think about your balance. Think about the smallest little tweaks that you want from your pit crew on the next stop. Same thing for the 17 of Kyle Larson. In fact, Larson and Rasmussen, two different stories to get here. Larson very conservative looking in the early starts and restarts, trying to kind of figure out an IndyCar and an open wheel car at these speeds. But now Larson also settling into great pace and starting to figure out all those little adjustments to making his car handle just right.
And how cool is this to see the what happened to one of the pre-race favorites?
He was running in second, yes.
Right.
Turn 2.
I'd like to see him hang on here before he hops out because I think front wing's damaged. I don't know about the rest of the car.
You didn't see a lot, but he must know something we don't, Townsend, because he's quick to get out.
Right front, left front looks okay. Left rear, right rear looks okay. The nose is collapsed, but that's easily replaceable on pit lane.
I don't see any damage on the floor. I don't see any damage on the back of the car. But again, he must know something we don't. Let's listen.
Oh. He almost saved it.
James, I don't know what happened. It sounded a little weak, almost like the driveline locked up a bit. It was a weird loose sound. But I'll go back. He didn't hit anything on all 4 corners. Maybe the left front a little bit.
Maybe, but you could do a steering arm or something like that. But he had a huge save, kind of reminiscent of that testing spin when he was having to avoid Will Power. No, I don't think the left front even touched it. I think it's just a nose cone.
Man, he should stay in that thing.
Should have got the safety team to just fire him up, drive it back to pit lane.
Easy for us to say. Probably.
It's so hard to tell. I mean, look, we've both been there. When you're driving at these speeds, you're so on the limit at all times.
Our safety team carries starters on those trucks. He could have stayed on the lead lap. And I think he'll regret getting out. And now it's over. That car on the flatbed. And that was one of the pre-race favorites. In the lead up to this race, this driver and this car looked to be one of the best at making moves, making passes, the overall speed and consistency. And now Colton Herta's Indy 500 campaign has come to an end. That was number 6 for Colton. But Mike, Danica, it's ended prematurely.
Yes, started 13th, was up there as high as 3rd. And as we were getting ready to kind of give a little summation of what's happened in the first half of the race, Herta was one of the drivers who had caught your eye that we were going to talk about.
Absolutely. And I've been thinking to myself the last couple of days that Colton is due for a good day here. He's had some bad luck, but he's also had some mistakes along the way. And, it's a shame to see that. Obviously, it's hard to identify exactly what happened there, whether that was a spin or something broke. But, I mean, I just think that this is a point in his career where he really needs to get it pulled together and eliminate mistakes, because the speed was there, obviously. We saw him running really well, and you're right. I was like, him and Ferrucci are, other than the usual suspects, looking pretty good. But, unfortunately, Colton's out.
Mention the usual suspects, McLaughlin are up top. By the way, we're 13 laps from having this past the halfway point, making an official race. Of note, Diff, we only go till 8:15 p.m. Local law, because lights and the lack of lights around here to get everybody home safe, 8:15 is when we have to end this race. Down to pit road as the stops come. Here's Cam.
All right, here they all come, and we'll start with Santino Ferrucci. He just commented, he said, I felt like I was sliding all over the place, then I saw what happened to Colton Herta. He's glad to have a pit stop. Further, Joseph Newgarden wants to take a little for some. He's got that heat now, Marty.
Brief touch today. Kyle Larson has been so impressive. Being in the 10, it's the issue on entry to the floor. They're going to make a wing adjustment here. Scott McLaughlin gets from the lead. Let's see if just this time. Maybe because a teammate, Joseph Newgarden,
the driver. What has happened? Check it out.
Oh!
Jumped into his pit box. They had to push him out of the way and wait for Ed.
Dangerous situation there on pit road. Luckily, Ilott was able to come to a stop in a perfect situation in the box while Carpenter was not there and the team was not going to work on his car yet, but obviously going to slow both Ilott and Carpenter down on pit road. I'm not sure exactly who it was that hit him from behind. We'll have to wait for them to come back from the commercial break to get more word on that. But as of right now, we are currently circuiting lap 90 of the Indianapolis 500. The top 4 stayed out on the racetrack, those 4 being Rinus VeeKay, Christian Lundgaard, Stingray Robb, and specifically Connor Daly and Stingray Robb have put up a fight for those leaders here in the early going. So we'll see if they are going to be able to do that again. Though Stingray Robb and Rinus VeeKay maybe is slightly less fuel than what Connor Daly, Christian Lundgaard had, as they have pitted one less time than them so far in this race. But we are very close to the halfway mark. Again, at halfway, we'll close the poll for who you think is going to win. That is open right now in the live chat, and the diecast showing will be taking place at that time as well. It's still a little bit of a ways to go yet in this Indianapolis 500. And again, live commentary for the Coca-Cola 600 will be coming up following the conclusion of this race here today. As you heard on the broadcast from Mike Tirico, who is on the Peacock Pit Box, did mention that this race has a cutoff time at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is a local law because of no tracks at the facility and over 300,000 fans in attendance, of course, with another sellout at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy 500 race. With that being the case, the cutoff time is 8:15, so we should be able to get to the end of the 200 laps before then. But in the case that we aren't able to do that, again, 8:15 is what we're racing to. But we still have over 2 hours to get to 8:15 Eastern Time from where we're at right now. We started at 4:45, so about an hour and a half, we've gotten almost half the race in. So we'd still, and that's even with 5 cautions so far. So even if we have a caution-filled second half, we should get done about a half hour before then. Of course, don't have to worry about overtime, of course, in IndyCar. like in NASCAR as well. And no stages, yeah, as Jojo states in the chat. Cody Ledger, thanks for tuning in. Daily Rob strategy is very interesting. Likely do it on 3 more pit stops. Yeah, all the cautions definitely helping out for that strategy for Rob, Daly, Lundgaard, VK. We'll see how they go on the restart. McLaughlin's been very good on the restart so far. So we're about to get back to racing.
Season, you have a chance to win one of 3 2024 Chevy Corvettes, courtesy of High B. One's already been given away, and we say congratulations to Fred Biffle from McAllen, Texas. That means there's 2 left, and one of them could be yours thanks to High B, the Corvette giveaway. Awesome stuff. All right, you rejoin us right at the right time. Here we go, back racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Renus VK is at the front of the field. He's in a different strategy. And around goes Christian Lundgaard, sweeping around the High V Honda. And look at Joseph Newgarden. How about Ferrucci? Machine.
Ferrucci again making moves. Passes McLaughlin. Those 2 cars are on the same strategy. Newgarden ultimately linked that primary strategy.
News from Race Control. Kyle Kirkwood from Andretti Global will need to come to pit lane. Avoidable contact for hitting Cal.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I would appeal that if it's possible, James. We'll look at a replay later. But I think Callum Ilott never transitioned out of the fast lane for his stop. He just jammed on the brakes. Watch this. I don't know about that call. Everybody's jacked up, and Callum Ilott really should be fading to straddle that pit lane and show that his box is coming up. You can't expect Kyle Kirkwood to know where Callum Ilott's pit is.
I think you look at any insurance adjuster will tell you if the contact comes from the back, Marty, it's probably their fault.
Well, Kyle Kirkwood agrees with you guys. He said, how in the world do we get a penalty when someone slows down in the fast lane right in front of me? That was not our fault, Dylan.
So Colton Herta has been released from the care center. Car is in the garage. They put a new front wing on it, and Colton is getting ready to climb back in the race car. They'll have to wheel it back to Gasoline Alley, but he is over here just to the left of our camera, getting suited back up, getting ready to climb back in the 26. So you guys are right, minimal damage.
Dylan, that is a disaster for Colton Herta. Disaster.
It's insult to injury because now you have to go back out with what you know is one of the fastest cars and just drive around and stay out of the way.
Will Power further back there trying to defend. He is getting motoed right now.
Look at Elio Castro Neves. He's in front of Will Power, behind Augustine Canapino in that blue and white Cliffs Honda. And in the lower box, Colton Herta has been told, get back in. The Gamebridge Honda's fine. We're going to fire it up, and you need to go back out there. Remember, this is one race of 17 in the NTT IndyCar Series. All season long, you can still go out there and get points. VK Lundgaard, they're on different strategies to Joseph Newgarden and the likes of Santino Ferrucci and Scott McLaughlin. There is the Shell Chevy right there. And if Joseph Newgarden can defend his win from a year ago, he will win a bonus $140,000 with thanks to Borg Warner. And Joseph and the number 2 Team Penske team are giving themselves a very, very good chance of achieving that.
Now, just to square things up, these 2 cars in front of Newgarden are about to pit. They're on a different strategy. VK and Lundgaard. VK pitted on lap 58, Lundgaard on 61. Stingray Rob is kind of halfway in the mix. He pitted on lap 77, but on the primary strategy is Newgarden, Ferrucci, and McLaughlin. As you see the Firestone telemetry, and Junior is in third.
They need to save big. That's coaching from the pit wall. Look, everybody's going to be saving right now. Everyone is in the same position. So Joseph right now, happy to sit behind these 2 cars, but again, at some point, Townsend, they're going to pit, and now you're on the point. You're punching the biggest hole of air, and you're going to be using the most fuel as a result.
Lundgaard to the front in the High B Honda, but again, to Townsend's point, these 2 cars are Motorsport sports car program and has been brought back to IndyCar because remember that 4 team members from this number 2 team were suspended for being outside of the rules at the season opener at St. Pete. It wasn't IndyCar that suspended them. It was Roger Penske himself. It was an internal team discussion and investigation. And from the top down, the team president, Tim Cindric, was suspended. Ron Rozuski and two of the engineering staff as Ferrucci makes an inside move. So, Newgarden's been getting used to Jonathan Dougal, Cindric, and the rest of the guys, but he's had to adapt on the fly, and it's working.
It's working very well at the moment. He's sitting in a pretty spot, but we know we haven't even reached halfway yet. It's been absolute chaos in this race so far. 5 different caution flags, 29 laps run under the yellow. That's full stint counts.
It is, and very quietly, Kyle Larson continues to work himself up. His VK peels off and comes to pit lane. There's the 21, the Ask ROI card. The guys on the primary strategy, Kyle Larson, Marty, I think he's top 5.
He's been so impressive today, has been Kyle Larson. And you can't blame Townsend, Renus VK, and his team just taking a chance here because they had that unsafe release penalty early in the race. They figured, why not stay out there? Maybe we can catch a caution day, and it did not work out. Here on the green, 1 or 2 to go.
Marty, I can't believe Pitch used the word chance because when I just to get to the front, he is on a different pit strategy. You can hear the team laying out right now, so maybe next time the luminous amounts of speed and the chaos has helped him get to the front. Every time the majority come to pit lane, the RLL cars stay out. The remaining RLL cars stay out. Let's show you this. On board, the Arrow McLaren Chevy Pato Award. Oh,
Wow.
front a rumble strip and slid.
He spun the tires up. You heard the engine RPM increased twice. Those wheels spin off of 2.
You could normally get away with 1, but not 2. Ninja hands at work, Dave. No changes this time for Christian Lundgaard, and the other changes have been very minor. A slight wing adjustment early, fresh tires that sent him on his way. And with Lundgaard coming in, that has put Joseph Newgarden to the front, the defending Indy 500 winner. It's the first time he's led today. It's Newgarden driving to back-to-back victories for the first time anyone's done it in more than 20 years.
Side-by-side commercial break under green flag action just past the halfway point in the Indianapolis 500 2024 edition. 98 laps to go. We'll go through the full field running order real quick. Your race leader again is Joseph Newgarden, his first lead of the day after starting on the front row in the 3rd place position. Santino Ferrucci's in 2nd after running top 3 for most of the afternoon, and Scott McLaughlin, who's led the most laps thus far, is sitting 3rd. Stingray Robb and Connor Daly 4th and 5th on an alternating pit strategy. Alex Palou is in 6th, and Kyle Larson is the leading rookie in 7th. Alexander Rossi is 8th, Helio Castroneves up to a race-high 9th place position, and Christian Rasmussen has fallen now to 10th just prior to, or just after, I should say, the pit stops that happened during the last caution. Canapino remains in the 11th place position. Pato Ward, after making a great save moments ago, is back in the 12th place spot. Will Powers fallen from 2nd place starting spot to 13th. Takumo Sato is in the 14th place position after just making a pass on Marco Andretti, who is now 15th. Graham Rahal, who was also on an alternating strategy very early in the race, is in the top 5, now back in 16th. Scott Dixon's been mid-pack the whole race, now back in the 17th place position. Ryan Hunter-Reid, former winner of the Indy 500 as well, at 18th. Ed Carpenter 19th, and Simpson, another rookie, rounding out the top 20 in 20th. Callum Ilott, after the contact on pit roads, back in 21st. Romain Grosjean just ran his best lap of the race in 22nd. Kyle Kirkwood is 23rd. Christian Lundgaard back in 24th, on his way back onto the racetrack 17 laps down. Felix Rosenquist is 27th. Linus Lundqvist 28th. Catherine Legg 29th. Marcus Armstrong 30th. Tom Blomqvist 31st. Marcus Ericsson, 32nd. And Fittipaldi rounds out the 33 car field in last place. But Joseph Newgarden, again, still the race leader, even under this commercial break. Pass for position made. Larson getting passed on the outside by Rossi, inside by Palou on the backstretch. And Larson falls to the 8th place spot. Thanks for the $5 super chat, by the way, from Cerebral Assassin in the chat. Appreciate that. Well done commentating and putting a double show. 2, thanks for the content. Yeah, no problem, man. And thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Thank you so much for everybody tuning into this one with the NASCAR race just getting underway in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Again, live commentary still scheduled for that. This is a NASCAR-oriented channel after all, but the job this weekend here to try to get this Indy 500 in first. Pass for the second place position as Scott McLaughlin moves behind his teammate out in front of the field of Joseph Newgarden to second, dropping Santino Ferrucci back into the third place position. And Alex Palou, who is in sixth after passing Larson moments ago, is the fourth place driver on the primary pit strategy. Just came back from the commercial break. Full screen right now on this Indianapolis 500 run. Line of cars trailing on the front stretch, headed down towards turn one. Bold move being made inside the top 10. I believe that's Alex Palou getting by Stingray Robb to move into fifth. So Palou, I believe, in the top 5 for the first time today after making that pass. Connor Daly in the fourth place position, still in the alternating strategy just in front of him. Oh, we got smoke and one car down in the grass. Caution flag is out. A little bit of nose damage there. I can't tell who that is. Looks like it is the 23. And that was Ryan Hunter-Reay receiving the damage as we're under yellow for the 6th time in the Indianapolis 500.
Wait till you see this replay. They tell how graphic it was. Check it out.
Oh. Oh. What was the fade? Was that Dixon?
It was Scott Dixon.
And he was already in the grass, and then he...
Oh, 360-degree spin through the grass in front of traffic at over 200 miles an hour. That's a terrifying moment for a driver.
Got 2 former winners.
Surprised he got that corrected quickly.
To the side. To James.
And that might be a penalty for the 6-time champion.
So heads up from Hunter-Reay on when to get on the brakes and when to get off.
Huge respect for Scott Dixon, but that was not cool.
I'm with you. Use the white line as a reference. When Ryan starts to move, there's a car width there. By the time the contact happens, there's only a few inches between Scott's left side tires and the white line. We do hear that race control is reviewing it again. Cannot believe the car control shown by Hunter-Reay there.
Yeah.
Immediately be to the right front.
And thank goodness the car didn't take off.
Yes.
You know, sideways at 200 plus on the grass is a study.
Aboard the PNC Bank Honda, brilliantly boring. There was nothing boring about that. That was one of the wildest rides Ryan Hunter-Reay has ever had.
Well,
Full 360 at over 200 miles an hour.
not as well as that crash he had back in California. What was that, 2015?
The right front wheel needs to be replaced. If it's just that broken steering arm, you can see the mechanic has a backup. All great race teams would have this part measured, ready to go, or at least close enough to try to make the swap.
Wow. I'm giggling not because of that incident, just the whole thing. What else can happen today is pit road is open and there's lots of takers, Dave Burns.
Jeff, how about this? Ryan Hunter-Reay's teammate Connor Daly has a headrest issue. It has come loose. He can't fix it himself. He won assistance on this car. What? Just to the car. Oh, okay.
Well, I just mentioned about the heavy rainstorms, and I think it's knocked my local NBC affiliate out. I would imagine that is not an NBC at the racetrack at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway issue. I can hear the thunderstorms rolling through too. So, I mean, the stream is still up as of right now, but yeah, there is video troubles right now for my NBC affiliate out of Toledo, Ohio. There's, I mean, it was whipping. There is heavy winds right now, heavy thunderstorms and downpours. So I have lost the coverage of the race for the time being. Still 90 laps to go under caution yet in the Indianapolis 500. And it does sound like they're trying to get an ad play. So Trouble's trying to air the race as of right now. We have ads being played during the replacement of that under commercial. Hopefully the storm blows through pretty quickly here and I can get that back. But it has been raining at my house for about the last 15-20 minutes, but it is really coming down now. So I just hoping that we don't lose the stream here. But appreciate everybody staying tuned thus far. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream. We're at 70 right now. Let's see if we can get to 100 at the very least before the end of this one. Justin Allgaier's in the 5 car for the 600, for the start of the race at least. Ryan Zantab, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this Indy 500 you can watch visually on NBC, local NBC affiliate. Let me know in the chat if it's, video troubles on your end too. Then I would know if it's actually NBC, but I'm pretty sure it's just my NBC affiliate. Yeah, like I said, I've got some heavy thunderstorms coming through right now. The same storms that were at Indianapolis about 5-6 hours ago are the same storms I'm getting now. I knew they were going to hit me at some point today after the race began, and was hoping it'd blow through quickly here, but there is some technical difficulties with that. I still don't have anything visually. All it says is video trouble, please stand by. So again, it is an NBC issue with my Toledo, Ohio, again, local affiliate with some heavy thunderstorms coming through. But you can definitely tell downtown's getting hit a lot harder with this being the issue because obviously right here on the channel, we are still live and we have not lost the stream. So hopefully at least that stays true. And hopefully I can watch the race sometime soon. But I can't really do anything about it at the moment, really. So we'll just keep the live leaderboard on, try to keep you updated as much as possible. And when the broadcast comes back on once again, obviously we will have more information coming for you at that time. I'm kind of curious if I get the NASCAR race on my local Fox affiliate. See, that's the problem. If this was on cable, if this was a cable race, I'd actually be getting full connection right now, but it's not. So that is where the issue lies. Checking in on the Coke 600. Oh, they don't even have the Coke 600 on right now. So the Coke 600 is supposed to be on. I have my local meteorologist. This is what's on Fox for me right now, so I couldn't even commentate the NASCAR race if I wanted to. Yeah, there's some severe weather obviously in the way, so meteorologists are taking over my local Fox at least. Hopefully NBC comes on quickly. Nope, still video trouble on NBC's end. Yeah, I'm hoping this blows through quickly. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I can't even do commentary for NASCAR during this portion. Like I said, some severe weather in my area, so I do not have any visuals of the race myself to get commentary for. What I can state is that we are still under caution. Well, now they're back under green. So lap 113 back under green flag conditions in the Indianapolis 500. At least we can watch the leaderboard as of right now, while the two Chevy Penske cars at the front of the field of Newgarden and McLaughlin. Now battling for the lead, McLaughlin to the lead. First lap following the restart. So the pole sitter back out in front in the third place starting driver now into the second place position and trying to hold on there with Santino Ferrucci hot on his heels. And it looks like we're under caution again. There's another wreck. So we got to green. Caution is out for the 7th time in the Indy 500. 1 lap after the restart. But again, I am not sure what happened there, but caution flag is out once again. And we'll keep an eye on our live leaderboard to see if anybody drops further towards the back to see where this wreck might have taken place. But we are under caution 1 lap after the restart again in the Indy 500. Our 7th yellow of the race. Pelot lost a spot to Alex Rossi there. I don't know if Pelot is the cause of the caution, though. You'll have to let me know in the chat if you're watching what the caution's for. Again, I have no visuals at this moment for the Indy 500. I'm surprised I still have power, to be completely honest. The fact that the my local NBC and Fox are having problems, but I mean, thankfully I haven't lost power at this point. But we are under caution. Marco spins out. All right, so it sounds like Marco Andretti. Thanks, Cole, in the chat for keeping me updated there. Sounds like Marco Andretti, the cause of the caution. Was it just a single car spin then? Any contact? The more details we can get there, the better. So many cars out of this race already. Again, 7 cautions, and we're just past the halfway point. Andretti in 24th, no longer on the lead lap. Only 23 cars on the lead lap. With if Marco Andretti retires from the race, Greg Coulter and Herta is now back in, so he is not DNF'd, but he is many, many laps down. It looks like Andretti has DNF'd, so he definitely has significant damage there. So that means we're going to have 9 cars out of the race already. And a long ways still to go in this Indianapolis 500, all things considered. Commercial for the 600. I mean, I can get a live leaderboard up on my phone, at least for the 600. But yeah, there are severe thunderstorms again in my area. With that being the case, the Fox broadcast, for instance, is showing a local meteorologist I don't know why exactly. I don't think there's any tornadic activity with this, so I'm kind of surprised. Usually it's about the only time we get the live meteorologist updates there, but we have no viewing of the Coke 600 as of right now, and with NBC's coverage of the Indianapolis 500, I don't have anything there either. So sorry, this channel's temporarily unavailable. Video trouble, please stand by. So that is the call again. My local NBC affiliate maybe has lost power for the time being or something of that nature, and I have lost touch of what exactly is going on. What we did see, at least on the live leaderboard, is that Scott McLaughlin had taken the race lead away on the restart from Joseph Newgarden. Caution came out for a spin, it looks like, for Marco Andretti. Andretti has now dropped out of the race. It's more points, at least, that Colton Herta can pick up on both Ryan Hunter-Reay and Marco Andretti, who have retired from the race after, of course, the Herta incident. Herta, the only car on the track that started this race that was involved in an earlier incident or some sort of a mechanical failure. So again, this is the 7th caution of the day. And again, currently your top 10 has Scott McLaughlin in the lead, Joseph Newgarden 2nd, Santino Ferrucci 3rd, Alexander Rossi 4th, Alex Pelot 5th, Kyle Larson 6th, Helio Castroneves 7th, Augustine Canapino in 8th, Christian Rasmussen 9th, and Kyle Simpson rounds out the top 10. That is your top 10 in the Indianapolis 500 on lap 117 of 200. I don't know if you can hear the rain or not. Like, I could actually hear it. It's just slapping my window like 5 feet or less away from my still on standby on my NBC affiliate. I have no clue. I mean, hopefully it comes up sometime soon. I'd hate to miss the rest of this race. I don't think it's going to be out that long. I mean, I guess like if you lose signal with, I don't know. It's weird because it's not like, obviously my power isn't out and I don't have cable. So it's not like a, local cable issue. Thankfully it's streaming. Like I get other channels right now. So that leads me to believe that my local NBC affiliate has lost signal of their feed of what's going on in Indianapolis. With that being the case, right now I am currently watching the Coca-Cola 600 while I'm waiting for my NBC affiliate to come up. It looks like Ty Gibbs, the pole sitter for that race, still leading the way as he qualified on the pole for the first time in his NASCAR Cup career. Hard to tell what lap they're on, though, because the severe weather indicator on the top left-hand corner of the screen is covering the lap counter, so I have no clue exactly what lap they're on. Drop of the green flag was only about 17 minutes ago from where we're at right now, so I would assume they're still very early in stage one. Ty Gibbs leads. William Byron is second. Christopher Bell third. Mark Truex Jr. fourth. Alex Bowman fifth. Bubba Wallace sixth. Daniel Suarez seventh. Rush Chastain eighth. Denny Hamlin ninth. Chase Elliott is 10th. So that is an update on the Coca-Cola 600 top 10 in the early laps of that race. Well, you can see the leaderboard obviously live on the channel for the Indianapolis 500. My feed is back up and running, thankfully, and we will get to green.
Joseph Garden, who won a year ago. He's like,
Wanted to pull out, but he had nowhere to go. Rossi blocked him, then ran the high side, got the position, now running up in third.
Excellent job from Rasmussen running high line there through turns 1 and 2. He drops it down. Kyle Larson goes to the outside. They're 3 wide further back.
Augustine Canapino in that green and black Poco's Hollinger car. He went right by Elio Castro Neves. Here's Renus finishing in most wheel.
Back on the inside of three stick cheapers. He managed to get it done. Now Rossi on the inside of Newgarden for second.
See in the Arrow Chevy splits the two Penske machines, and Santino Ferrucci for AJ Foyt Racing runs 4.
And these top 5 drivers have the ultimate challenge. Be aggressive, make moves, but don't burn too much fuel in doing it. They're still trying to extend their window. They want to get to probably lap 135 before they pit.
For races started and the results posted of this modern era, nobody has a better record or a better average finish than Santino Ferrucci. In the Homes for Our Troop Chevy, the Stars and Stripes, he runs 4th. He's holding the championship lead at below at bay. Now here comes Elio. Castro Neves around the outside of Canapino.
You don't win 4 Indy 500s, Dick, without knowing how to get moves done in traffic. 121 laps in the books. It's funny, this restart was a lot. And drivers starting to find their groove as the sun starts to set. Track temp starting to fall. That's going to affect the handling of these race cars.
Just reminding you again, the conditions or the circumstances are until 8:15 or 200 laps, whichever comes first. That will determine this year's Indy 500.
And this is where the track temp is dropping now, 94 degrees. Keep in mind, on any other practice day that we have at this track, you'd never go past 6 o'clock. It's now 6:45 local time. And many of these drivers are experiencing conditions that they've never had, even if you're a veteran at Indianapolis. And with the dropping temperature, if you started with less downforce, things start to come your direction. If you started with more downforce, maybe your car's getting too slow, too dragging in the colder, dense air.
And look at Rossi in that papaya white and black Arrow McLaren machine, just shadowing McLaughlin. It's Chevy heavy at the front.
214.
Until you get to the first Honda, which is Alex below.
214 that last lap from McLaughlin. That car is capable of 219 out front if he wants to.
It's time to go through the field. Brought to you by Wix
And we kick it off with Dave Burns. Go for it, Davo.
Lee, the second Honda in line, is Castro Neves running in the 8th position, and the drive for 5 is still alive. His car is good today. They've made no changes on the chassis that has been requested by the driver. So the speed may or may not be there. Also, in a little trouble gearing on the restarts is not to Elio's liking.
Dylan, Scott Dixon may be in the best position of all. He's the leader on this alternate strategy, runs 11th right now. But one thing he told me earlier this week, we just have to race the race. Starting 21st, we're going to have to take advantage of every opportunity we've been presented with. Mike Cole made the decision to go off strategy. Dixon has passed 5 cars in the last 2 restarts. They're in a great spot right now, Kevin.
Dylan Santino Ferrucci is not super popular with other drivers. He's had a few disagreements over the time, and he might be driving for the best guy to be fine with that type of behavior. AJ Foyt certainly encourages that because that's the way he operated. And Santino, give him the real estate because taking up space in everybody's head up and down the paddock. Party.
Kevin, a moment ago, Dylan talked about Scott Dixon. It was contact from Dixon that took Ryan Hunter-Reay out of the race. Number 1, Ryan, what was your thought on the contact from Dixon? And are you surprised he wasn't penalized?
Yeah, I was shocked on both fronts. I mean, I've been racing Scott Dixon for probably close to 2 decades, and I've just never really seen it like that on a super speedway. So, yeah, it was a shock, and we had been racing each other clean. So I'm not really sure what that was all about. He knows I was there. I don't know where he's going. So, and how that's not a penalty beyond me, I don't know. But my hands full today. We really struggled with the car's balance. We threw some changes at it. I knew in car day, I knew on it, and man, it was loose. It was a handful. I was doing everything I could to hang on to it there for a bit. So last year we had a really good run, and just bummed that Venture Chevy can't be moving forward. Had a really good time this month, and yeah, just too loose in the race. But we were coming back a little bit there, and yeah, that was an odd one from Scott. Very confusing, and same so with race control.
Lee, the former series champ and also former Indy 500 winner Ryan Hunter-Reay out of it early.
Well, felt good to say Captain America, Ryan Hunter-Reay back at the Speedway, and that's Joseph Newgarden. The Shell Chevy sitting inside of Scott McLaughlin and back to lead this 500. So we saw that replay a couple times with Dixon again, and I got to say, the Iceman stone cold down the back straightaway, but he skirted.
All right, under another commercial break now as we have about 72 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. Not that far away from green flag pit stop says Joseph Newgarden is back in the race lead, 0.4 of a second ahead of Scott McLaughlin, his teammate in second. Alexander Rossi is 0.9 of a second back in third, and Santino Ferrucci is a second and a half back in fourth. Alex Palou is 2 seconds off the lead in fifth. Kyle Larson 2.2 seconds back in sixth. Elio Castroneves 2.5 seconds off the lead in seventh. Christian Rasmussen is 3 seconds off the lead in eighth. Augustine Canapino is 3.5 seconds off the lead in ninth, and Graham Rahal is 4 seconds off the lead in 10th. That is your top 10 in the running order, and the intervals between them. Again, 71 laps to go in the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. You're listening live on KRC. As thunder is cracking behind me. So Joseph Newgarden continues to lead the way in the Indy 500. Again, pit stops will be coming up very soon. Sounds like Newgarden will be pitting this time by. And he will be giving up the lead. Maybe a reason why he tried to shoot forward to get to the lead before the pit stop started, because he passed Rossi and McLaughlin just laps before coming into the pits this time by. He's only been back out in front for a few consecutive laps. Here he comes. Still under a commercial break at the moment. I'll let you listen into the pit reports as soon as they come back from the break, and here we go.
And Jordan is back out. All right, so much longer can McLaughlin, Ross, and Ferrucci go. Here comes McLaughlin. Here comes Kyle Larson. Here comes Augustine Canapino.
Oh, big lockup for Kyle Larson, way past the there. If we've seen this before, guys. A good 500, Dylan. Come unglued in pit lane.
First green flag stop for Larson today, too.
Canapino, we saw him. He only his mark. Really, Jesus. See Marty. Next on the strategy to just one and stop the block one word. So I need to work better clearly. Conditions changing here at Indianapolis. This week's sounds like what? Two, I can't be saying he'll have to come down the road. And that's one of the things that he was worried about. Is if he was handled to the road, he's gonna have to adjust his speeding, Kevin. Here's Alex Blow, the everything he has not done is win the Indy 500, two-time champion. And he's going to get Shell, fuel, and fire-filled tires on clean change, Marty.
You talked about a weather change. It seems to be playing into Alexander Rossi's hand. It closed up with the Arrow McLaren car, and they seem to be getting better throughout the race. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson will serve that transfer penalty coming this time. 133 actually is going to pit this time coming to serve that penalty. 68 laps to go, but Kyle Larson will have to serve that penalty, Kevin.
Sorry.
He went 2 laps longer than Joseph Newgarden. He's been saying, I think I could get by him, but I'm content to ride around right here. AJ Foyt's car is maybe one stop away from having a chance to fight to the finish. It gets better now. Might be a player. Oh,
Got awfully close to the wall. Alexander Rossi to the front.
So one from Alexander Rossi. McLaughlin, he got Newgarden as well. Rossi to the front.
Watch Tino Ferrucci at the exit of turn 2. Flo makes a move on Newgarden. There's Ferrucci coming out of the pits.
Look at this. Look at this. By Ferrucci. Right around the outside, what goes Joseph? How did they all fit? How did nobody hit? That was incredible.
There's the racetrack back clean as Palou now. 3 wide, Palou to the front of the Indy 500. McLaughlin second.
Rossi from first to third, and that run down the front straight. These guys all know they've got so much fuel to save. They're having to do big lifts. Everybody's taking their turn up front, but there is some frantic action on track right now.
There are 2 guys in this group you may not have put in before this, and that's Canapino and Rasmussen. And here is that green flag stop by Kyle Larson.
And here's the thing, guys. We know that these were one of the things he's going to have to work on and deal with. You see just the right front there all locked up. But, T-Bell, this is the first pit stop they've had to do under green flag conditions. He's been pitting under caution. This is the first time he had to do it in speed, but look at the action. I'm sure, guys, this looks like an Indy Next race.
They are closing doors left, right, and center. Resting each other. Rasmussen getting really squirrely.
This
No.
He goes up into the wall. Elio Castro Neves in the blue and white machine. He's looking for a way.
Guys are going all over the place. It's getting nuts.
On the inside.
He thought about going with McLaughlin past Alex. Thought better of it. Slides back into line as we see a car pulling off to pit lane there.
Here's Castro Neves. Have a look at Canapino and
Nice. You have to be so careful as a driver in these situations not to get sucked into psycho. Calm down. Stay big picture. You still have over 60 laps to the end. Protect your car and just keep it together. Don't get overboard.
Here we go. Elio's going. So too is Rossi. Rossi on the inside of Palou. I've got to say, welcome to the big time. Christian Rasmussen right there in that Dayglow white and black car for Ed Carpenter Racing. He's in with the big guys.
Guys, here's what's so funny. The lap times, the speeds these cars are running, 209s, 210s. They are massively off the pace in an attempt to save fuel. They're in such worse shape than Pato Award, who we just saw pit, well, then Scott Dixon, who is still leading this race.
I'm glad you mentioned Scott Dixon because he's the one to watch. He's in great fuel situation, Marty, as Pato Award comes out of the pits.
Yeah, he's in front of these guys right now, Pato, and that's exactly what I told him a moment ago. Listen, everybody else has to save. They're on the primary strategy. Three strategies going right now. Bill Anderson told him, we do not. Run hard to the end of the race. It's exactly what Pato Award, the strategy they used last year, and they were in a position.
Hey, Robert, Kyle Kirkland.
Another commercial break in the Indianapolis 500. Scott Dixon leads right now by 0.4 of a second over Connor Daly in P2. Takuma Sato is P3, 0.8 of a second off the lead. Stingray Robb is 1.2 seconds back at fourth, and Christian Lundgaard is up to fifth, 2 seconds off the lead. That is your top five in the running order in the Indianapolis 500 with 60 laps to go in the midst of green flag pit stops. But alternating pit strategies is what has put those 5 cars out in front of the field, and in fact, the battle for what would be the eventual race lead when everybody else makes their green flag stops is a battle for ninth right now between Alex Rossi, Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin, and Joseph Newgarden. Appreciate, again, everybody sticking out the long rain delay of today's stream. And with the NASCAR race going on right now, be sure to hit the like button on the stream so we can get to 100 likes before the end here. And we will go live for that Coke 600 live commentary stream as soon as this race finishes. Again, 8:15 would be the latest. Eastern time, of course. But we should get the race in before that. Again, a little less than 60 laps to go as of this point, and we are still over an hour away from that time. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more NASCAR content, live race commentary streams like this every NASCAR race weekend for NASCAR Cup Xfinity Truck Series races. But a one-off 5,500, of course, this year, second year in a row with this commentary on KRC. So Scott Dixon, not going to be out in front, or isn't out in front, I should say, for very long. Dixon down on pit road. Connor Daly now out in front of the field with Stingray Robb. And Christian Lundgaard is the top 3 in the podium positions. Dixon going to try to get up to speed on the back stretch as the leaders are working their way by him right now. How many of them are going to be able to get by Dixon before they all get up to speed? Dixon settles himself in pretty nicely. He's on better fuel mileage, and he cycled up into the top couple positions here of those that have already pitted. Rossi had gotten around him. Looking to see who else might have passed Dixon on the racetrack. Tough to tell for sure as of right now. So Rossi, VK, Award, but Palou, McLaughlin, Newgarden, they're all still behind Dixon, who just pitted. Connor Daly is now on his way to pit road. And Dixon is going to make a pass for position on VK. Pass was made for 6th.
50 to go in the Indy 500. Take your pick, make your pick as Pato Award gets back by his teammate. Let's check the pit stop differential between Alex Palou and Alex Rossi, powered by NTT.
Yeah, this is so important on these green flag stops. It's your in lap, your out lap, your time on pit lane. That's essentially the time that's in the driver's hands, getting from 60 down to 0, then from 0 back up to 60, and then your time in the pit box. That's just the crews getting the work done. Pretty even on the in laps. The time on pit lane to Alex Palou, the time in pit box goes to Rossi, and pretty even on the out laps. So it's the time gained on pit lane that puts the advantage to Palou.
Watch the orange and blue car of Scott Dixon. He pops out to go second. Hucks in behind Pato Award. Scott Dixon is 4 laps to the good on fuel over Pato Award. I know PNC says brilliantly boring. Dixon has been brilliantly spectacular today, surviving the almost penalty with Ryan Hunter-Reay. He has the most gas to burn down the stretch.
And remember, he started back in 21st position. Kyle Larson, meanwhile,
We started this weekend and this month of May with the big headline. It's been coming for a year about Larson doing the double. The first NASCAR driver to attempt the double in 10 years since Kurt Busch. The weather affected his chances today. He's just got a lap down as Dixon goes by. Pato O'Ward, is that the pass for the lead and the win? We'll answer that soon, but remember that moment with 54 to go.
Guys, Scott Dixon has
Big one for Will Power. It's over from the rock for Innocent Chippy.
It's a huge one for Will Power.
and that's not what Scott Dixon wanted to see. It allows the field that needed to stretch fuel to catch up.
Will really thought this could have been his this year. On the front row, started from second, and had a good month of May, and did not want it to end like this. What happened? On the outside of Christian Rasmussen.
Just got high, got loose, and got in the wall. We've seen so many drivers hanging up on the outside there.
Well, we kept wondering, how is the track clean enough? And I think we finally found the point of this race where the debris, the tire dust, the marbles are too much to handle, too wide.
And that's going to be a key bit of information for all the spotters to tell their drivers. Hey, look, Will was just running outside of Rasmussen, and the car got away from him. The track's starting to fall away up there, and that's going to be important information for everyone else to know, hey, we might have to be a bit more conservative out there.
But is there time to sweep the track under this caution? Oftentimes we see that diff. They clean the slate
and reset. This is how it went away from Will Power. What a shame. Two Team Penske cars left in this 108th Indy 500.
Well, here we go. 53 laps to go. Stingray Robb is currently the race leader under caution in the Indy 500, our 8th caution of the race already, as we are about 3/4 of the way home. With Robb in the lead, Christian Lundgaard has scored second, Scott Dixon third, Pato O'Ward fourth, and Alex Rossi is in fifth. That is the top 5 on the leaderboard. Alternating pit strategies in there, of course, for a lot of these drivers. We'll see who maybe gets off strategy with some more pit stops. And another driver obviously going to be done for the day, that being Will Power, who has caused this incident. Now leaving just 22 cars on the lead lap in the Indy 500, 10 of them out of the race. And Colton Herta, again, just trying to make up points here for a better finishing position at 16 laps down, just trying to outlast everybody else that's still in this. Zachary K, thanks for tuning in. So caution is definitely going to help some of the others get back on strategy. It was looking like it was going to be a great race for Scott Dixon, and one for him to lose, really, at this point. His only to lose up until the caution, which allows for more teams to save fuel, but he was definitely on the better part of that strategy, as was a couple other drivers who pitted with him. That being Connor Daly. I believe Rinus VK was on that strategy, and Takumo Sato, who's in 12th on the strategy. All kind of cycling into the top dozen after not really running there for most of the day on speed. The top 3 in the running order right now all started outside the top 20. 4 of them in the top 6 that started outside the top 20, with Daly starting back in row 10 in the 29th place position. Take another ad break. You're listening live to the Indianapolis 500 on KRC. Everybody still has to pit at least one more time in this race. We may see other cars pit right now under the caution. My Coke 600 starts in 64 minutes. Well, the race itself is already underway. I'll actually go there while they're under caution, under commercial break in the Indy 500. Give you a quick update on what the leaderboard is looking like there. Well, no, never mind. It looks like my local meteorologist is back on the air again. So I don't have an update on that. They keep going to that on the Fox broadcast, but I haven't gotten any of that during the Indy 500 here.
Saying drivers deal with a lot inside of the car that you can't see. That's the thing. Even when you don't see their hands doing much, sometimes they're saving things. So the fact that he was able to show you something so spectacular and keep that car going is so incredible. That was move of the day.
Guys have given him the nickname the Ninja. Another ridiculous save by Pato. Okay, just a thought here on Larson, because you were watching as he was coming down under green, coming down pit lane. One of those things that happens to drivers who don't have as much experience in these cars out here.
It was always going to be race day that was going to test him the most because everything's happening very quickly and he's been put in situations that he hasn't seen yet. So there's not a lot of pitting off of 4 until carb day. And as you see here, he locks it up really bad. And, you know, and the brakes could be cool. He could have stiffened his front bar and made the front a little bit too stiff to lock up. There's some scenarios. Maybe he moved his weight jacker and that affected it. So there are some situations, but these are the things that you have to eliminate if you're going to win the Indy 500. And I'm sure that's going to make him pretty hungry to come back and try again.
Drive-through penalty. He's 21st at the moment, 1 lap off the lead lap. Give me your last thoughts here as we are 3/4 of the way through, 50 laps to go.
Well, Mike, I'm not going to lie. I was happy to see that yellow because what this is going to do is this is going to take it out of as much of fuel things we've seen where Dixon was in such good shape. And what we're going to see is full rich. We're going to see a lot harder running, which is just going to make it more exciting for us.
He's made it 4 hours consistent rain as they continue to speed up that 2018 winner Will Power. We'll step aside for a moment. It has been chaotic. It's been thrilling. 49 more laps coming up from Indy.
All right, so back under commercial break again. I didn't get the diecast showing off at the halfway points. So we will do that right now with just about 50 laps to go. And this is an actual former Indy 500 winner, one of only 2 IndyCar diecasts I actually have. And it is the paint scheme from the Alexander Rossi Indy 500 win back in 2015, or 2016, excuse me, with the 100th running of the Indianapolis. Yeah, here's the Alexander Rossi diecast I have is Napa scheme. It's not the actual diecast from that 100th Indy 500 win, but it is a very similar, obviously, Napa scheme. I've always liked the Napa cars in NASCAR over the years, so that kind of allured me to my attention when I was talking to myself when I went to the Indy 500 a couple of years ago, saying, I got to get an IndyCar diecast while I'm here to make it memorable. So this was the one I picked. I also got a Jimmy Johnson one because, of course, I'm a huge NASCAR fan. So for that reason, those are the 2 diecasts I have. I showed the IndyCar diecast of Jimmy Johnson a couple weeks ago. It might have been for the COTA race when he ran that, but here's the diecast showing me today. Save this one. And fitting enough that he's in the 3rd place position and maybe a shot to win for Alex Rossi for his 2nd Indy 500 here today. So that is the diecast showing for this stream, and we have 2 of them set for the longest race of the season, the Coca-Cola 600 here tonight, which is, again, underway on Fox. And I will get that live stream started as soon as this race comes to an end. I'm going to quickly check the leaderboard on the Fox broadcast while they're back under commercial break. And back to the meteorologist again, still over there. So he's my local meteorologist is very busy tonight with the severe weather updates in my area as we keep our live commentary coverage going to the 108th Indy 500. Well, that happens. I guess I'll take my second to last ad break of the stream. Again, you're listening live on KRC. Scott Dixon is set to restart as the race leader. More than likely. I don't know if pit road's open yet or not. I don't think many drivers will pit as we're still outside the window to make it on one stop to the end. That fuel window is about 29 to 32 laps under green flag conditions. And even if we were to get a caution fill rest of this race, I think that they are still not going to be able to make it from here on out. Maybe top off if you're at the tail end of the field, though, so it's less fuel you have to take later. But that might be the only pit stops right now under the cautions.
Well, it is fortune today. T-Bell, you asked, you got it. The track is being swept and clean.
Oh, it's a good sign. Look at all of those marbles, the dust and debris that comes off the Firestone tires, 33 cars, and lots of stuff to get cleaned up. But what this allows for is amazing restarts. Clean racetrack, James, those 3-4 wide moves. It really helps the drivers find grip on the high line. Marty? Townsend, there's in essence 3 pit strategies going on. For the primary strategy, what we have been calling it, Alexander Rossi is up front for that. So, Brian Barnhart, does he have to save fuel at all, or is this now an even race among everybody up front?
It's a little bit of a save, but not a lot for us. It's a really comfortable number just to get it. It just means their last stop will probably be a little shorter than ours, but we just got to watch the track position.
Rossi reiterated once again, Dylan, a moment ago. He said, I just think the car keeps getting better as the day goes along and the sun sets.
And let's chat with Mike Pohl, who calls strategy for Scott Dixon. Was that a yellow that was helpful or one that you would have rather not seen?
Everybody has one more stop. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right, they got Scott Dixon behind the wheels, and we'll see what happens. One more pit stop to go, as he said.
Just cagey response from Mike Hall.
Just to remind you, 200 laps, or finishing at 8:15 local. This is Kyle Larson, and Marty's there.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, they did take the wave around, which I believe you mentioned it, so they're going to be back on the lead lap here. They're going to make a rear wing adjustment here, and once you take the lead here in IndyCar, you can get the pit road. That's what Larson did here. We'll see if these fresh Firestones help him out at all, Kevin.
Marty, as Danica said, good news. It is a race to the finish. The worst on fuel mileage was Joseph Newgarden. Let's listen to his radio.
Yep. I mean, how much time are we losing on putting the rear wing back up? It's your day to put it back where it was.
That's been the other debate. They took off some downforce last time. He wants it back in, but no fuel save. Here we go.
Yep, it is a straight fight to the end. By the way, we have an algorithm that projects when the race will stop. And at the moment, we've got plenty of time. We are 20 minutes to the good, this race, on this current zone as well. So at the moment, hey, knock on wood, would you? Knock on wood. We're looking good. We should finish.
We have an algorithm?
We do.
That's pretty cool.
It's up there. Dave, what do you got?
There's some lumber down here. If I took it out for you, so we got that taken care of, knocking on wood.
Good.
Connor Daly, they told him we are in good shape fuel-wise. No need to save. You can put the hammer down, buddy.
Polka Dot Chevrolet. So his teammate Ryan Hunter-Ray is out. There's still one driver, Ryan Volt, with Cusick Motorsports Chevy left in there. Who do you like? Is your favorite driver still in this race? And do they have a chance? One more stop. You heard it from Mike Hull, the voice for more than 20 years on the box for Scott Dixon. Is Dixon going to get his second win? There are so many drivers still looking for their first. How is this going to play out with just 46 to go?
And Lee, quick shout out to Rinus VK. He had that penalty earlier. He's worked his way back into the top 5 and on the same strategy.
He sure is. Right behind Connor Daly, ahead of Alex Palou. We are coming to the green.
All right, here we go. Green flag back in the air. It's Scott Dixon leading the field to the green for the first time today for a restart. And the move being made at the start-finish line of the Art of Bricks. As it'll be Pato O'Ward trying to take the lead away, but it's going to be the driver from third going to first of Alexander Rossi. Joseph Newgarden on the outside making a pass as he moves into the top 4. Fourth place after restarting 8th. Newgarden got 4 spots on the front stretch. What a great move by Joseph Newgarden to get up where he did. And it does seem like on the more aggressive restarts later in the going that the leader seems to be the sitting duck as they get to the green flag. That was the case for Scott Dixon and on the restart from before by Scott McLaughlin. So McLaughlin make a 4-wide move from 4th to the lead earlier. And Dixon trying to get that spot back for 2nd. Meanwhile, though, a pass for the lead is going to be made in front of him, so he's not able to get 2nd, and Pato O'Ward will take the lead for the first time today in the Indy 500. There'll be an official lead change when we get back to the start-finish line this time by. And if that does end up being the case, Our lead change monitor is not correct, by the way. It says 64 lead changes. That is not the case. 10 different leaders. There's no way we've had 65 lead changes in this race. So I'd like to believe that that number is not accurate on IndyCar's website. I haven't heard anything like that. That's got to be like a record or close to it. Once again, so Rossi holds on to the race lead. Showing they move on the outside of the front stretch on the replay from the restart from Joseph Newgarden. Again, he got 4 positions. They were 3 wide in front of him. A lot of checking up going into the first turn. He was able to get around all 3 of them that were initially 3 wide. They all got out of the gas early to make the corner. Newgarden stayed in. It made the bold and aggressive move, and now he's only a second off the lead. And again, 4 spots higher in the running order. Cut his positioning run in half. Another move for the lead made. Award did lead that lap at the line as he is out in front of Rossi again as the lead changes hands back and forth lap over lap between 40 laps to go this time by in the Indianapolis 500. Move by Scott McLaughlin being made as he gets around Rinus VeeKay for 6. This is as far back as McLaughlin has bet on a restart in the running order all day today after starting on the pole and leading a large majority of the laps in the first half of the race. And another move on the front stretch being made again for that lead as Rossi back out in front of Pato O'Ward. Crisscrossing each other. It is literally lap over lap, and those passes have been made on the front stretch almost every time. Between O'Ward and Rossi. They're really getting after it. O'Ward with a run on the backstretch, but is not going to make the move for the pass. He'll back out of the gas and try to build up another run for the front stretch this time around as he tries to time it out right. Maybe still slight fuel-saving measures for those drivers that are not named Scott Dixon at the very front of the field, which is why they could be working together and changing that position in the running order lap over lap. Commercial break side by side as of right now for those of you watching on NBC for the Indianapolis 500. Top 10 in the running order as of right now has Alex Rossi in the lead, Pato O'Ward second, Scott Dixon third, Joseph Newgarden fourth, Alex Palou fifth, Scott McLaughlin sixth, Rinus VeeKay seventh, Connor Daly eighth, Santino Ferrucci ninth, and Kyle Kirkwood rounds out the top 10. Again, that is the top 10 in the running order of your 108th Indianapolis 500. Right here on KRC. If you're wondering on the NASCAR side of things, what the leaderboard is like for the Coca-Cola 600 with that race going on right now, they're currently under pit stops late in stage 1. 11 laps to go in the first stage with a caution there. So not going to have the updated leaderboard for you guys at this moment for that reason. Go back to the IndyCar race. So getting close to the end of stage 1 of 4. Remember, an extra stage in that Coke 600. Extra points are on the line with the extra stage as well. Alexander Rossi leads our Indy 500, though. Again, Pato O'Ward in second, Scott Dixon third, Joseph Newgarden fourth. Alex Palou rounds out the top 5, all within 1.4 seconds of the race lead. Down to 37 laps to go in this one. Laps are going by ever so quickly. And the fuel window to make it to the end of the race will be opening up fairly shortly. And 29 to 32 laps is what you can run on a full tank under green flag conditions. 36 to go at the line that last time by. O'Ward back to the lead on Rossi.
Sweet keep Grace and green. It's commercial break before you see the checkered flag. One brilliantly happy driver will cross the yard of bricks ahead of everybody else. Is it going to be this 25 Mexican Pato who's come so close before? As he again retakes the lead from teammate Alexander Rossi. And it's a
heavyweight slugfest here with Arrow McLaren teammates. It's trading blow for blow, lap after lap. They're not saving gas. They're just straight up racing each other. And in doing so, James, dialing their controls in just perfectly for what is likely going to be a last lap shootout for the win.
Yeah, you know you're going to have to be going 10/10 on those last few laps, Townsend. So for sure, you want to start figuring out what your car feels like when you're absolutely on the limit. What changes do you have to make inside the cockpit? What changes do you have to make if you're leading versus being second, third, fourth in line? Now Rossi back to the front. It's not orchestrated, Marty, but it's understood what's happening at the front of this field.
It's all on the line for the 100 days running at the Indianapolis 5. Here's the situation. These teams up would like to fit as soon as they can make it to the end. That's about lap 167 to 169. That's when you'll see these leaders come to pit road. But Hinch, I guess my prediction is there's two cars out there. Ford and Scott Dixon, they could, in theory, run a little bit longer, but what's the risk of doing that when everybody else comes down pit road?
Well, the risk of running longer is that a caution comes out and you now have to pit under caution when the field is all compressed and you lose all that track position. A lot of times there's an advantage to going long, but in this situation, Dylan, that might not be the case.
And something else to keep in mind too here for Dixon is you're right on Horvath in third. Don't be surprised if they maybe do an overcut, run a lap longer than these McLaren cars, but they made their last stop later. Dixon has been saving fuel. It may be a shorter fill for Dixon to get to the end, and as close as they are, that may be all the difference they need.
Lap 141 was the last time Dixon came in, say up against Alexander Rossi, who was 9 laps different at lap 132. So we'll see what the Ganassi squad do with their man here in the PNC Bank Honda.
And we talk about the shadows in turn 1, but what about the glare in turn 3, James? You just pointed that out. Setting sun in the west, absolutely blasting you as you come through the short chute between 3 and 4.
You got to remember you know what it's like to go from a bright outside into a dark inside. Your eyes have to adjust. Imagine coming through turn 3 here. We'll do this with Padua Ward. Goes directly into the sunlight. Your eyes are adjusting, your pupils are adjusting to that bright light, and then you turn into 4 instantly, it goes into shadow, but you're doing this at 220 miles an hour.
And Hitch, it's such a great point that you and Townsend make, as there's a move coming here. Pato on Alexander Rossi again. We're racing at nearly 7:30 at night. They're not used to this here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They're watching on, all 4 cars lined up before he was on the grid, so proud of what his team had accomplished. And he may be celebrating an Indy 500 win in 31 and a half laps time. Let's have a listen to the 5 radio.
Do you want fuel or do you want me to fuel not get burned when you want to overcome?
Right, Alexander Rossi is the first one in of the front runners. Here come the games.
Yep, green flag pit stop starting, final stops of the day.
From Dixon a few years ago because of the last stop and a mistake. But Marty, Alex Rossi's coming to you.
Thanks for the call. 31 laps to go. This is exactly where Brian to get to for Alexander Rossi. And a tip of the cap to his teammate, to his team. Pro War for helping us get some fuel. Slight wing change there for Rossi. 30. Go. Second, 500.
All right, back onto the front straight. Here comes Scott Dixon. The blue and orange PNC Bank Honda takes the lead. Look at Newgarden in third. He's over the back of Pato Award. So the question now is, how much longer Dixon go, knowing that Rossi has made his last stop?
Well, Dixon feels like he has absolutely decided to put his head down and go for it. Remember, Dixon carrying more fuel. He's in range now to make one more stop, James. So if he pits now, they won't have to fill for as long. Given the advantage with this overcut move, Dixon going flat out right now.
A few tenths of a second in pit lane with that fuel, like you said, that could make a lot of distance up on the racetrack. He's not coming in this time, but we do see cars starting to peel off. Newgarden, McLaughlin, and I'm right with ask Connor.
Hey guys, like a Kev. Third winner Joseph Newgarden is in contention.
Got the heavy rains coming down again. Sorry for that slight lag. Not a lag on the stream necessarily, but a lag at least with telecast of NBC. We've been having to deal with this for a large majority of the second half of this race.
For the 3 car. Here comes Dixon on the right-hand side of your screen. Canapino's coming in. He's taking a penalty. Dixon locked up. Remember, he lost this race by speeding on pit road by 1 mile an hour. Has he been caught speeding again, or is it okay? Dylan?
It's got to be a perfect cop here. Remember, went on the last bill, so need just a short here. Firestone tires and fuel, Marty. And then we're down to the road as Dixon cannot.
Leading his stall. I am so loose. He's the most complaints I hear from a driver running up front. The title award should be a little bit of a shorter stop. These guys gain a little bit of track of this year.
Look at this, Alexander Rossi on Joseph Newgarden. They've both made their last stops. Rossi gets ahead of Newgarden.
These two cars will blend with those that just did. Dixon and O'Ward, there they are in the short chute. This is the battle for the win of the Indy 500.
Watch over here, coming out, Dixon, and the others are at speed.
Rossi gets a little bit of a toe off O'Ward. Both him and Newgarden now going side by side. Newgarden uses the pick on the outside. Dixon getting up to speed. Joseph has momentum. Will he get him on the front straight?
Newgarden has a ton of momentum. Dixon still trying to accelerate. They'll catch each other at the end of the front stretch.
He's coming.
Comes Newgarden, blasting up the inside of Dixon.
Now, Scott Dixon spent a bulk of the last part of the stint studying cars in front of him. Remember, he ran third for a long time, just patiently working the controls. The question is, has he learned enough to retaliate, to return the move on Newgarden?
And you heard the call for pit lane. His car was very loose. That meant the front was overpowering the rear. Not quite enough rear grip for Scott Dixon. They would have made an adjustment on that pit stop, made him a little bit happier with the balance of that race car.
I think it's looking good, Diff. Here he comes.
When he wanted to pass, he did it. He wants to pass Newgarden. He's going to do it.
He's got it into turn one. Dixon back ahead of the Shell Chevy. And we're getting close to where all of the drivers say this race changes, and that is the final 20 laps. You want to buy yourself a ticket to the final 20, and then it is gloves off.
Well, you talk about these two as Newgarden comes back to the front. You know the Arrow McLaren boys are slowly inching their way into the mix. This is a four-way battle for the win. And then you've got Alex Palou quietly sneaking in to the story as well. That yellow car, the number 10, teammates to Scott Dixon.
And VK is hanging around in the background. Dixon back ahead of Newgarden. Rossi, O'Ward hanging in there. Palou is getting closer.
And I believe McLaughlin just got around Rena's BK. No, BK's still up there. So McLaughlin's coming forward. So is Connor Daly. James, we're swimming in whipped cream right now as a race fan. It's getting wild.
Not sure how smooth that swim's going to be, Johnson, but this is going to be a tight battle. You can throw a blanket over the top 5 on track right now.
That's what it's like to go back to the front for Scott Dixon here at Indy.
I mean, top 5 effectively. There's still cars that haven't pit. Dixon's running 6th right now in the front of this train. We see some of the top 5 currently coming to pit lane. But this is the battle right here. Like you say, VK's joining in. Kirkwood's going to blend out in a decent spot.
He stayed out for quite a while. Newgarden returns the pavement. O'Ward up the inside of Kyle Kirkwood. The highest placed running and the only Andretti Global car left running.
Great recovery from Kirkwood right now. He's effectively running 4th on the strategy.
Yeah.
Carpenter and Larson and Simpson are yet to pit, and that'll cycle Joseph Newgarden to the front of the Indy 500 with 22 and a half laps to go.
Look, up to this point in the race, it's been important to not leave too much because you burn more fuel out
Well, here we go in this one. It is getting down to the wire in the Indianapolis 500 as we're down to 22 laps left at the line. Dixon overtaking Newgarden for the lead again into turn one. Back and forth go Newgarden on the racetrack, so he'll get a lap let in for the first time in his Indy 500 debut, but still having to make his final stop, trying to overcome from a speeding penalty under the last set of green flag pit stops, which took place with just less than 60 to go in the race. Simpson also on the racetrack right now, and Carpenter is currently on pit road. So therefore, Newgarden will now take over third with the 9 of Scott Dixon. Newgarden with another pass on Dixon. Now, this is the very same battle that we ended up basically seeing for the actual race lead a little bit before green flag pit stops between Pato O'Ward and Alex Rossi. Those two drivers were first and second. They came out of the pits in what would eventually be third and fourth, and the drivers third and fourth, Dixon, then Newgarden, are now the two drivers battling for the lead. And once the 9 car of Dixon got up to speed on the front stretch, it was Newgarden who actually went from fourth place when the pit stop started to the race lead. Everybody's good on fuel to make it to the end of the race. All the talk about fuel saving is now done, and it is a straight heat for the finish here. No overtime, so they don't have to save any fuel there for that reason, as Newgarden and Dixon continue to just go back and forth for the lead. Again, the eventual lead, because Larson and Simpson, the two rookies, are still leading the field. What is going to happen here for Joseph Newgarden? Building a bit of a gap between himself and Scott Dixon with a lap car in the way between them. Newgarden still pulling away. Scott Dixon can't get around the lapper. All of a sudden, the gap between the what is right now third and fourth place cars is building. Dixon is going to lose a spot to Alexander Rossi. And Scott Dixon's car struggling in traffic to that of the leaders. We know Rossi's car strong enough to battle for the lead. He was doing that with Pato O'Ward before the stops, but Scott Dixon not able to hold on in traffic now that we've got more than 5 laps into this green flag run. We know that Newgarden's got a fast car, although he hasn't led a whole lot in this race. He was one of the Penske cars, of course, that qualified on the pole waypoint. And once he lost the lead, he didn't get it back until the cycling this final pit stop with less than 30 to go in the race. Down to about 17 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. And Kyle Larson just now pitting from the lead, so he'll give the lead up. Simpson will lead for the first time today, and he's the last car that would have to pit for this race, at least for scheduled pit stops. And if we stay green to the end, this will be the longest green flag run of the race after having 8 cautions in the first 150 laps. Last went green with just less than 50 to go. More than a full fuel run from here to the finish. Big run coming, as it'll be Newgarden getting passed on the racetrack. That was by the lap car that was in between Newgarden and Rossi, though, so it wasn't for the lead. And this draft could actually help Joseph Newgarden. If he stays behind him, it can keep his speed up and make the passing out best thing for Joseph Newgarden, at least for the straightaways. He's going to have harder turn in the corners, of course, being in the dirty air, but it's not going to be any harder for him than it is going to be for the cars in line behind him who are also battling with that same dirty air. Newgarden getting back past the lap car into turns 1 and 2 as he shot the gap. Rossi follows. Simpson still 11 seconds out ahead of these two that battle for second, which again will be the eventual race lead. Simpson coming into pit this time by, so now it will be Joseph Newgarden and Alexander Rossi becoming the new first and second place drivers on the racetrack. Dixon getting by the lap car, trying to stay with the top 2 at the front of the field, and Pato O'Ward's really falling behind quite a bit. Can Joseph Newgarden be the first Indy 500 driver, or first Indy 500 winner to go back to back in this race for the first time in over 20 years, since 2001 and 2002 when Elio Castroneves got his first 2 Indy 500 wins in his 4 of his career? As I say that, another pass for the lead happened in turn 1. And again, it's Alex Rossi out to the front of the field as he tries to go for his second Indy 500. Newgarden, though, on the back straightaway makes the pass again. I will say, when Newgarden's been passed, he's the only car I've seen that has made a pass the very next straightaway without having to take a full lap to make a pass. I haven't seen anybody else make a pass on like one straightaway and then, or get passed on one straightaway and then make that pass back on the next straightaway. Newgarden's been the only one that's been able to do that from what I've seen at the front of the field. I think that's just that much more speed in his car versus those around him. I mean, look at the starting position for the other drivers around him in the running order. I mean, Rossi started fourth. Pato Ward just got by Scott Dixon now, but Dixon 21st. So the qualifying speed maybe isn't quite there. Single car speed. The draft is the great equalizer, as you would say, maybe in NASCAR Super Speedway racing. This is IndyCar's version of a Super Speedway. Newgarden losing the lead again on the front stretch. Alexander Rossi back out in front again. 12 laps. Late race cautions in the final 10 to 20 laps in each of the last two seasons in this race. Newgarden has to make sure he holds on to second here. O'Ward trying to get back into the mix. Dixon still falling behind from these top three, but you can't count him out. And Kyle Kirk with a great run in the top five as well. Newgarden back out in front at the line. Led that lap, not by much, less than a car length, as they were side by side when they crossed the yard of bricks that last time by. Rossi trying to maintain in second without O'Ward getting around him. Pato still trying to build up a run. Dixon gaining more ground on the top three as they continue to change positions. All of the top three make that top four drivers within 1.1 seconds of the race lead. You can definitely tell the fuel savings over because consistently drivers are running at the front of the field 47s, 5, 6, 7s earlier in the race, about a second off their faster paces from what we've seen right now. And the fastest lap times of the day were right as soon as they were on those fresh tires, a couple laps on them, of course, after they were off the cold tires. Only 5 drivers have ever won back-to-back Indy 500s as well, so Newgarden would be the 6th in history to do that in the 108 years of this race. He's going to lead again at the line, this time by, but another run coming from...
Better running in second place, but you do use those tires more, like we've been saying. But right now, these two are sizing each other up, Townsend. They're trying to figure out, where do I want to be with 2 laps to go? Where do I want to be with 1 lap to go?
And the thing is, that fuel disadvantage, you can't hide it. If everybody knows, Team Penske knows with Newgarden exactly where Rossi is on gas. They're both Chevy cars.
Last lap, watch the line for pit entry. You are now.
Rossi was the first one to pit road.
Shit.
He just had a wiggle in the short.
And then a wiggle from Pato on the entry to turn 2. Guys, the cars are way up, fastest speeds we've seen pretty much all day.
It was a wicked loose moment down at turn 1. And the best hands here is Pato O'Ward as far as speed, Mr. Quick Hands.
We've talked about how late we're running, guys, as Pato's got to defend now against Scott Dixon. Kirkwood there, making a move on the inside.
What an unbelievable recovery. Like you said, Hinch, Kyle Kirkwood now legitimately in the top 5. And Diff, you're pointing to the last lap for Kirkwood's hand.
He is
176.
He's the best on fuel. He stopped later than everybody else. He still gives Andretti Global a chance of winning the Indianapolis 500.
His temperature's cool, as track temp cools. That tends to change the balance. It usually makes it
better fuel if you want it.
a little bit sharper on the front, a little looser of a race car. Is Rossi now going to lose 1 spot to Newgarden? Is he going to lose a second?
Oh, he did!
5. Forklifting its way through the corner right now.
driver in IndyCar right now is 25-year-old Mexican. Pato O'Ward has throngs of fans wherever he goes, wherever.
I can attest to that. When I was at Indy a couple years ago, he definitely has a lot of fans there.
And just crept his way into fifth. Teammates to Scott Dixon. And here comes the news. Starting to turn it up. Challenged with clutch issues. All race long. And here are we starting to see the infancy of the Dragon, the early phases of the Dragon.
Oh, it's already starting. The Dragon is that weaving movement on the straightaways. That's to try to break the draft of the car behind. But a big run here from Pato O'Ward. He's going to the point, Diff.
This could be a practice for the last lap. Could it look like this in 5 laps' time?
5 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500, and Pato O'Ward, for the first time following the last pit stops of the day, is back in the race lead as he just passed Joseph Newgarden on the front stretch. Now down the back straightaway, the accordion line effect is in full effect, trying to break the draft in the late going. Passes are going to be harder later and later as we get into this run. Newgarden trying to build momentum up for the front stretch, and will he make the move? Alex Rossi trying to play catch-up after losing 2 positions in one straightaway just a couple of laps ago. He has less fuel to make it to the end than the leaders. Newgarden with a charge on the front straightaway. Newgarden leads at the line, 4 laps to go and clear into turn 1. The 108th Indianapolis 500 of the drivers in the top 4. The only one without an Indy 500 win is Pato O'Ward. The others each have 1 apiece. Newgarden, Rossi, and Dixon. Hello, McLaughlin back at 5th and 6th place. Need a miracle to get it 3 in the closing laps. 3 laps to go this time by. Pato O'Ward trying to build momentum up onto the front stretch. He's got to run. Inside of the racetrack, Newgarden goes to the outside to break the draft. No pass attempt made this time for O'Ward. He's going to hang back. Alexander Rossi nowhere in contention to try to pounce on the top 2 in front of him. And another big gap is building now on the back straightaway off turn 2 for Joseph Newgarden. 2.5 laps to go for Newgarden to go back-to-back in the Indianapolis 500, winning the 107th running and the 108th running. He led at the halfway mark, now trying to lead at the full 200-lap mark as he works his way to the front stretch, coming to 2 laps to go this time off the exit of turn 4. Newgarden will lead this lap at the line, but O'Ward is coming. Another big accordion effect, and no pass attempt will be made by Pato O'Ward this time around. Sits in line in turns 1 and 2. Lap and a half to go in the Indy 500. O'Ward with a run. On the back straightaway, he's got to take it. No, he holds on yet again. Newgarden. Into turn 4. Coming to the white flag. Who will lead to turn 1? Joseph Newgarden lags just behind him in the 2nd place position. Does he have a shot at Rossi in 3rd? Harling's behind Newgarden. Off the exit of turn 2, down the back straightaway. Big break of the draft before heading to the halfway mark of the backstretch, but Newgarden is coming. Joseph Newgarden with a run. He's looking to the outside. Into turn 3, side by side for the lead. Newgarden's clear into the short chute. O'Ward gets tight and has to lift in the center of the corner. He's not going to be able to build another run up on the front stretch, and Joseph Newgarden is going to win the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 with a last lap pass for the win. Back to back for Newgarden.
Ski. And Pato O'Ward's heart has been broken again.
Proud of you there, friend. Off the top today.
And The captain and his family. The kids, the grandkids are there. Win number 20. Where's he going this time? He's going back.
He's going back into the stands.
He's going back into the crowd.
I would too.
Insane. Awesome.
On the outside.
That was it. Last between this man and Pat Award.
There he is. Yep, he's going up into the stands again. That's great. One with the people.
Emphatically by winning the biggest motor race in the world.
That was thrilling. We'll try to make this post-race show as quickly as possible when we get the interview with Joseph Newgarden, your Indy 500 winner for the second year in a row. Then you guys will get to listen into that. For right now, we'll go through the full field finishing order. Your margin of victory, 0.3 of a second for Joseph Newgarden after a last lap pass for the win on the outside into turn 3 on Pato Award. Award finishes second. Scott Dixon with a podium slot in third. Alexander Rossi fourth, and Alex Palou rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Scott McLaughlin, the pole sitter, finishes sixth. Kyle Kirkwood seventh. Santino Ferrucci eighth. A ninth place finish for Rinus VeeKay and Connor Daly rounds out the top 10. Callum Ilott finishes 11th. Christian Rasmussen finishes 12th. Christian Lundgaard ends up finishing 13th. Takuma Sato 14th. And 15th was Graham Rahal. Stingray Robb led quite a few laps on pit strategy early on. He finishes 16th. Ed Carpenter 17th. Kyle Larson 18th after a pit road speeding penalty in the final 60 laps. He was running 5th at the time. Romain Grosjean finishes 19th. Helio Castroneves back in 20th. Last car in the lead lap was Kyle Simpson finishing 21st. He was also the last to pit during the green flag pit stop cycling. 22nd was Augustine Canapino. Colton Herta finished 29 laps down in 23rd. Canapino ended up a lap down in 22nd. Everybody else from 24th on back DNF. 10 DNFs in total today. Will Power finishes 24th. Marco Andretti 25th. Ryan Hunter-Reay 26th. Felix Rosenquist 27th. Linus Lundqvist 28th. Catherine Legg 29th. Marcus Armstrong 30th. Tom Bloomquist 31st. Marcus Ericsson 32nd. And Pedro Vittapalti rounds out our 33 car field here in today's Indianapolis 500. 31 passes total in the day for Joseph Newgarden. He actually had the less of a lot of the drivers in the top 5. In fact, the least amount of every driver finished in the top 5, but he made the most impressive line of the day on the outside. Final lap, turn 3. Here's Newgarden.
They can say whatever they want. I should explain. Super team. They crushed it. They came here. They came here with the fastest cars. We worked their tails off. Team Chevy brought it. Luke, Tim, they're not here today, but they're a huge part of this. So, Team Benzino, that's the way I wanted to win the thing right there. There you go, Chips. It's got to celebrate in with Newgarden. And guess we get to hear more from him in a moment in Victory Lane. Today, we have seen it all.
We will stay through the commercial break when they get to Victory Lane and get another interview with Joseph Newgarden. You guys will get to listen to that full interview, and then I will end the stream and we will start the live commentary stream of the Coca-Cola 600. Again, you are listening live on KRC. We'll take our final ad break while we wait this commercial. Again, congratulations to Joseph Newgarden. A last lap pass, a thrilling one on the final lap outside of turn 3. Got it to stick, and Ward never had a chance to get back by him. Heartbreak for Ward. Being so close, less than a half a lap away from victory. Newgarden now a 2-time Indy 500 winner. And again, back-to-back for only the 6th time in Indy 500 history. Larson won't get till North Carolina till what, 9:30? Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm sure the plan is still going to be to get him there on time. Barring any major delays, I don't even think he's going to be able to get into that 5 car tonight. I know there was supposed to be rain on the way in Charlotte. And again, I will start that live commentary stream as soon as we get the full interview with Joseph Newgarden. Again, who is your race winner? We have gone through the full field finishing order in this one. Some of the other race stats in this: average race speed was 167.763 miles per hour. 663 on-track passes total time, 16 different leaders. It scores 87 lead changes. I don't know if that counts at the start-finish line or not with IndyCar, but that is what at least this leaderboard is showing, whether that is accurate or not. We did have a lot of pit cycling, though, with the cautions, which is why we had as many different leaders as we did as well, despite the fact that we only had 22 cars finish on the lead lap. How often do you think Chevy tries to talk to Penske about using their engines in NASCAR? Well, it'd be tough because they're the top 4 team right now. I think they've surpassed SHR over the last several years as being like the top 4 team on the pendulum when it comes to engines over there. So I don't think making the switch to Chevy would be very good for them. And that's why they were Dodge for so long, because they were the top Dodge team, and then they made the move to Ford. They were kind of the second tier team for a while until the probably, at least late 2010s into early 2020s before they started to ascend on the top Ford side of things. Well, we'll advance to Newgarden in Victory Lane here. Again, you'll get to listen to him with this post-race interview, and we will get this stream wrapped up and take you to Charlotte for the 600 on another stream.
And now the victory up wedges. To repeat, transfers to Ford Warner. She's in the American Dairy Association. Joseph last year too. Milk and winner's range in Justin, and of course successes as well. You think about what this team has been through. Joseph Newgarden really put it on his back at the end of that run with a vibration being around Pato O'Ward. But as he mentioned just a moment ago, this was the team win. Team Penske on pit road was absolutely terrific. And I'm amazed at how exhausted Joseph Newgarden was after celebrating with the fans in the stands. And the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. Celebrating with the fans a moment ago. Now he gets to celebrate with the captain, his boss, Roger Penske. Joseph Newgarden climbs out as now a 2-time winner of the Indianapolis 500. Well, Joseph. Comes in. Ashley, his wife. You seem so emotional. You also seem so drained. Was this one of the most emotionally draining Indy 500s you've ever been part of, win or lose?
No doubt, no doubt. I knew we could win this race again, and just a matter of getting it right. There's no better way to win a race than that. I mean, I got to give it up. I got to give it up to Pato as well. He's an incredibly clean driver. It takes two people to make that work. So it's not just a good pass. It's also someone that you're working with that's incredibly clean. So I mean I got to give hats off to Pato. He could have easily won this race too, but it just fell our way. And I'm just so proud of everybody. Proud of this whole team. Luke at home, who not here but deserves to be here, and Tim, they're a huge part of this team. But Raul and JD did a great job this whole month, and to have Shell on board, we're running 100% renewable fuel because of these guys since last year. Everyone that partners with us, Team Chevy, just a great day. I'm glad we got it in today too. I really thought we were racing tomorrow.
I wanted to ask you how you survived that last run. You radioed in very early, had a right front vibration, and then on top of that, you were able to pass Pato. How did you pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, we just had an incredible car. I got a little out of position at lap 150. We were restarting 8th, and I don't think I got that sequencing correct. I really thought I went too soon and then tried to back up, and then I put us in a hole. And so JD came over the radio. He said, "Look, you're gonna have to win this thing the old-fashioned way. I can't help you. Like, it's not gonna be stops. It's not gonna be fuel." So I just went for it. I said, "All right, the car's good enough. You guys have done your job. Let me drive to the front." And look, they backed me the entire way. You can't win this race without a great car. It's the best car in the field, I think, today. So hats off to the team.
You did it. You also mentioned the team. How much of this was a team win, Joseph?
It's always a team win. And today epitomizes the team victories. The team win on the pole. It's a team win today. I'm thankful for Roger Penske. He stood by me. He's the man. He's a legend. There's no one that I've ever met that cares more about the fan and the experience than that man. I promise you. He cares so much about this place, and I'm thankful for him.
And just like those 300,000 fans, he grew up coming to this race as a race fan, and now he's a two-time winner. There's the Borg Warner wreath and the milk coming shortly for Joseph.
Congratulations again to Joseph Newgarden. Margin of victory of 0.3 of a second as he wins his second consecutive Indianapolis 500. Appreciate everybody tuning in for this live commentary stream. Again, as scheduled, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, mid-race live commentary stream was scheduled to start for the Coca-Cola 600, so that will end this stream. I will have live commentary for the remainder of the Coke 600 live on another stream right here on. Appreciate everybody that stuck out the 4-hour rain delay as well for this. And came in even with the NASCAR race going on what is a NASCAR-oriented channel. So, again, thank you so much. I will see you guys here very shortly as we get the Coke 600 live stream underway. See you in a few minutes.